You're listening to Herd at Sports Live.
Obviously, it's great to get back to football. The guys have worked really hard in the offseason, but now it's time to get back on the grass. We've had a great first 3 days, so we're excited to get to today, get to Fan Fest, seeing the people outside. Really appreciate all the people that come out to see our players. It's a fan base unlike any other, passionate, committed, and we love having the chance to meet the people who will be in the stands or watching on TV or listening on the radio. So excited about that today.
Good morning. Welcome in to Herd at Sports Live, presented by Next Gen Mayo Medical. I'm Ravi Lula. And as you probably heard over the weekend, or maybe you didn't, I don't know, maybe you put your phone in a locker or something over the last couple days, but DB will not be joining me this morning or at all in the future, for that matter. As you probably heard, our favorite co-host here, Damon Benning, was hired by the University of Nebraska as the Director of Player Development under Matt Rule. We are incredibly excited for DB. This is an amazing opportunity for him and his family, and couldn't be happier for him. He's worked so hard to earn this opportunity, and really can't wait to see what this turns out for him. Obviously, for the show, it is a bummer. We love doing the show with DB. I love doing the show with DB. He obviously gave me a huge opportunity to come over here with him to Herd at Sports and start this show and build the show that we did together. But it is, like I said, kind of just a bittersweet moment. Incredibly happy for my friend, kind of bummed about my coworker, but I think we're going to have an opportunity to still talk to DB. He's hoping to show up, have an opportunity to show up with us this morning and kind of talk in his own words. I don't necessarily want to speak for him, but talk in his own words about everything that happened. But I can kind of give you a timeline of how everything worked out, because I'm sure this seems pretty sudden. We knew there was this possibility in the works for a little bit of time here, but with the timing of fall camp and Nebraska really wanting to fill this role, I think the time frame of him starting at the university was accelerated even a little bit more than he expected, and he actually started Friday after the show. He really did go get his phone fixed. That wasn't like a bit. He did break his Android by dropping a bottle cap on it or a bottle stopper. And so that just incredibly ironic that that ended up being the same day that he got hired by the University of Nebraska. But his start time got accelerated quite a bit because of fall camp and kind of the situation just in terms of the time of year as well. So he would have loved to have had a little bit more time to give a proper final sign off with you guys and with me. But we do think we're going to get him an opportunity to come on here once he figures out, as you can imagine, his new schedule with the football team is a little bit more chaotic than it would be most times of the year. So we will try to hear from DB hopefully today, but definitely in the next couple days to kind of explain in his own words what happened. But from my standpoint, we knew this was in the works for a little while here. The time frame got accelerated in terms of when he was actually starting. And so the plan for the show moving forward is at least through football season. I will be joined by Austin Jacobsen. You're very familiar with Austin and his work. I do want to say I think a lot of people, if you maybe have heard him in central Nebraska, like some of our listeners outside of the Omaha area, or you've maybe heard him on different shows here in the Metro as well. I know the kind of character he plays sometimes as our producer, but make no mistake, Austin knows ball, and he kind of knows what we want this show to be as well in terms of just the vibe. We both know, and everybody knows, that it's going to be a different show with me and anyone else than it was with me and DB. But we hope to still bring you a very similar feeling in terms of your experience when you watch or listen to Herd at Sports Live. We love the interactions we have with all of our listeners, and I really love all the messages, and we get these, especially over the weekend when people realize DB wouldn't be doing the show anymore, of just people saying how much laughter and joy that the show brings to their lives on a daily basis. That's what we're still going for. And I hope you stick with us and hang out with me and Austin for the foreseeable future. And who knows, that might be the permanent solution. Like I said, this all happened pretty fast, so we're still working through a plan here, but we're incredibly lucky to have Austin as part of our team already, and as somebody that I definitely think can do this in a way that not only I will enjoy doing a show with him, but that you'll enjoy the show as well. So we'll take a quick break here. We'll reset. Austin will join me, and we will get going here on a Monday with Herd at Sports Live. If losing weight is harder than you expected, it's not just about willpower. At Next Gen Male Medical Clinic, we build a supervised plan around your body, not someone else's. Schedule a visit at nextgenmmc.com. Let's get you moving forward.
Staff-wise, obviously you guys know the staff moves we've made. They've done a great job, worked really hard. Gus Felder did a great job for us for several years as Director of Player Development. Had a chance to fulfill his dream of being an athletic director. So excited to hire Damon Benning. Will take that role on. I think now more than ever, having someone who's a mentor to players. Obviously, having played here, gone on to the next level, been around the program for a long time in a lot of ways, covering it, talking about it, being around it, being the parent of a player, it can obviously be a great resource in that area. But, when I think about people who have the right vision, have the right passion for kids and for sports and for this program, I couldn't think of anyone better than Damon. So excited to welcome him.
You're listening to Herd at Sports Live.
First of all, obviously, congratulations to Roger Craig being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Well deserved, and really cool to see that video when he found out, and excited for him. I had a chance to go back and forth a little bit with his daughter, and just expressed our appreciation and congratulations to him. Staff-wise, obviously you guys know the staff moves we've made. They've done a great job, worked really hard. Gus Felder did a great job for us for several years as Director of Player Development. Had a chance to fulfill his dream of being an athletic director. So excited to hire Damon Benning. Will take that role on. I think now more than ever, having someone who's a mentor to players. obviously having played here, gone on to the next level, been around the program for a long time in a lot of ways, covering it, talking about it, being around it, being the parent of a player, it can obviously be a great resource in that area. But, when I think about people who have the right vision, have the right passion for kids and for sports and for this program, I couldn't think of anyone better than Damon. So excited to welcome him.
Good morning. Welcome back. Herd at Sports Live, presented by Next Gen Male Medical. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Herd at Sports HQ. Austin, how are we doing this morning?
It feels different.
It does feel different.
It feels a little different this time. Usually I'm waiting for Damon to text me about something dumb that I said. So he probably will still do that.
I was going to say, that probably won't
No, it won't.
stop.
It won't change. No.
I think the only thing that will change is I imagine the host of this show will have dramatically less food poisoning.
That is true.
Than was the case before.
I was thinking that I'll probably hear the name Jimmy Neutron less because that hadn't petered into my home life as much, but I don't know if that will continue. I don't think you've never called me that. I don't think.
I only do it when he directly has called you that, and it gets in my brain a little bit.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I go Austin. I will occasionally hit an AJ, but mostly Austin.
Mostly.
I know you don't love AJ, so
It's not my favorite. I let Damon get away with it because he's Damon. So yeah.
Damon.
But also he tricks you because he hits you with it quickly. So then he just repeats it, so you can't tell him otherwise.
And then he also one of the things he's very famous for. Hey, if you get a nickname, you're my guy.
Yeah.
Right. So you're also I did get a nickname.
Right.
So I don't know. Now I've got two nicknames. That's got to be a good sign.
Yeah. Which, by the way, and hopefully we'll be able to talk with Damon later. And I don't want to make this the Damon Benning, Herd at Sports Live visitation show by any means, but
he is still alive.
He is very much so, according to other accounts. Which, to be fair, we probably earned that. I don't know. I know that there was a lot of planning behind the scenes, a lot of things that could have went, but I understand where everybody came from when they saw that. Having known the knowledge beforehand, I was like, maybe there was different ways this could have been said, but I thought it was cool that he was able to go to Westside's practice today. Did you see what Sauter was able to put out about him?
No, I was not.
So Mike put out, I'll see if I can put it on screen here as well, but Sauter tweeted out just a photo of Damon visiting with the team at practice, saying, "Stopped by Westside practice this morning, sent a message to the Warriors. This place is special. I may be leaving, but I'm not going anywhere." I'll put it on screen here in just a second. But yeah, pretty... I'm glad that he was able to do that because I know that that's really important to him to be able to have that kind of goodbye. He's got a lot of goodbyes he's got to do.
He
now,
does.
some of them, like with the Huskers Radio Network, he'll be in the building with them, so I don't know. He's just going to be bothering them in different ways.
Honestly, that might be worse. I can't imagine the mood Jessica Cootie's in right now. I just have to imagine
he's going to be down there every day bothering her.
I just have to imagine she has just berated him. She's like, "Look what you've done. We'd start the season in 3 weeks.
Yep.
DB.
Mm-hmm. We had all these plans.
Yeah, we had plans for
now
you.
we got to get all these other people.
You're still going to be in the
up.
building, but you can't even talk to us.
Yeah.
I have to imagine Jessica's giving him the fourth degree.
Were you disappointed in the amount of Husker media people that didn't include Herd at Sports Live in their Damon Benning tweets over the weekend?
It's all right. I understand. Haters gonna hate. No,
I don't think it was haters.
No, I don't either.
Everyone said, "Oh, the analyst." I thought it was interesting. Everyone said color analyst. I was like, "Whoa,
easy."
Jeez, just because Damon. Wow,
50s again.
No one said that about Matt when he left. What was that about? They just said analyst. That's crazy. But no, I thought it was fun. It was unique too. Just that there's not many times that you get to be ahead of that experience so quickly. You know. And just seeing everything roll in right at 1:30 and seeing what people were saying. I thought that was cool. And I was especially happy for you because a lot of people said nice things about you, too.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. They were like, "I'm going to miss Ralula in the morning." It's again, he's not dying either.
I'm not dying.
He'll be fine.
I'm still here. We will still do a show. No, I did think it was very cool, all the appreciation that DB got, and well deserved. Although many people are saying that he was so afraid of doing the listener draft that he had to quit.
That is funny. We pushed that off. We pushed the college football quarterback part 2 draft off quite a bit.
Well, it's not.
I don't think Rico. Unfortunately, I don't think we can be a team anymore. So
I say
might be over for us.
We could split you guys up because that's the only way it's going to be fair.
Well, it's only fair now that Rico and Shane are a team.
Dibs on Julian Saint.
Okay.
You can't just have dibs. It's a draft.
That's not how drafts work.
That's not how drafts
We're
work.
splitting our. It's like the parents are getting a divorce. I get them on bank holidays.
That's not how drafting teams works, man. It's not how it works at all.
Do you want Damon on the weekends? Is that how you want?
Yeah, I do. I get Damon on weekends.
like every other weekend.
Like,
Every other weekend.
It's not often you get 3 parents, so and it's not often one of your parents is younger than you, so there's that too.
Yeah. Does Ravi get bank holidays or?
Which one of you is the stepdad?
Ooh,
That's the real question here. Not sure we've got that figured out.
yeah, I don't know.
yet.
We'll figure that out.
I'm not the stepdad. I'm the dad that stepped up.
Bang, nice. What a bar! Did you come up with that yourself?
Yeah, I actually just thought of it.
No, you didn't. Stop it. No, we'll hear from DB at some point. I think he's going to try and join us this morning. But it'll be good. We'll have a different show, obviously, with Austin and I, but I think you'll enjoy it, and we'll have a lot of fun along the way as well. I did with that clip with Matt Rule announcing DB. At the beginning of that, we did get a little Roger Craig,
Yeah, a little bit.
talk as well, which it was great to see him get inducted in the Hall of Fame. Obviously, very sad about his announcement that he is suffering from dementia and kind of did his video speech rather than do it live the way everyone else did.
He wasn't able to do like the press conference and everything else there, but it was cool that he was able to still go and enjoy the moment.
Yes.
And I thought that knowing later, obviously when they made the announcement and everything else, and he was able to say it in his own words, they treated that really the right way.
Yeah.
Allowing
I
him
thought
to
so.
enjoy everything and allowing that moment to be able to, he was still available to be there. He chose to be there, but then to take some of the struggles that could come with something like that.
Yeah. And listen, we've had some extensive conversations about the Hall of Fame. I'm thrilled.
Does he have a Lula star?
Absolutely, Roger Craig does. See, he's a great example of somebody who maybe statistically you look at over the course of a career and you're like, oh, fits in with a lot of other guys, but he did he was a revolutionary type of player at the position because of his ability to catch and run the ball as a running back. First 1,000-yard season
right.
In NFL history. So
it is funny how far along it took for someone to emulate what Roger Craig did in the 80s.
It didn't happen again until Marshall Faulk, right?
Yeah, so at least a decade later.
Yeah, and that was
99.
99, I think. So that's
if not, it was 2000 or one of those.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
one of those years.
Greatest show on turf years. But it was one of those. It was one of those things where, and I know that we've had a lot of spirited conversations about some guys like Luke Kuechly and their place in a Hall of Fame.
Yeah, where did he end up? Do you know?
He did end up in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, they let him in? Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, I think
interesting.
there's like a wing for like special boys that tried real hard.
You knock it off. That's so mean. How dare you? Why? Why would you do that?
Special boys that tried real hard is just terrible.
First, the Panthers win the Hall of Fame game, the first NFL game of the 2026
What happened
season.
to Haynes King, though?
Listen, sometimes you give your maximum effort to win a football game. He's still on the team, by the way.
I'm just saying it's the first preseason game of the season, and he pops the hammy.
Yeah, no, he didn't pop it. He pulled it. It's two different things. He's still hopefully going to be on there because my jersey comes on Thursday, and I swear to God, if he gets cut by then, I'll be very disappointed. That'll be a lot of money spent for no reason. But the Panthers win the Hall of Fame game. Try to dog me on that. Trying to dog me on the fact that my dog Luke Kuechly is in the Hall of Fame.
I'm just saying. I
will say this. I'll give you this. You want to start this Hall of Fame conversation?
I would.
I saw the tweet.
I would.
You saw and I think maybe Rico tweeted it too, that all of the first ballot Hall of Famers for next year, a lot of those dudes aren't first ballot Hall of Famers. I'll say that right now. And I would be shocked if most of the guys that were on that list are up there. Rico, can you find, I think you quote tweeted the tweet. It's like Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, Cam Newton. There's a couple of other guys on there. There's Adrian Peterson, I think, is on there too. There's more. There are some, I believe, probably deserve it, won't get it. And there's some that I don't think that are first ballot. And there are some arguably that I think don't deserve to be in. And I think one of those is actually maybe Cam Newton. And I'm really afraid to say that.
Cam Newton's a really tough one.
He is. I think he's one that he doesn't have the Bo Jackson, and I'm sorry that I said that. He doesn't have the necessarily he doesn't have the stats for it. He had a longer runway. His fall off was very significant. I think that's one thing a lot of people are going to discredit him for. But that 10-year run from 2013 to, and it's not even 10 years really. It's like that 2013 to 2019 run is very, very good. And in one season, in that MVP year, it's pretty good. Here we go. Thank you, Rico. So first-time eligibles for the 2027. Rob Gronkowski.
Gronk's a first ballot, for sure.
I think voters will be very hesitant to put Roethlisberger in first ballot.
I think that's fair.
I think Adrian Peterson's in that conversation,
has to be
too.
First ballot.
Richard Sherman will be interesting. I think he will be divisive. I think he gets in.
He'll make it. I don't know if he's first ballot.
I don't know if Antonio Brown will ever get in.
I don't think so.
I don't think Le'Veon Bell will ever get in.
Le'Veon Bell is interesting. Whitworth will probably get in because people love him.
I don't know what to do with Mac.
I don't know if it'll be first ballot. McCoy's interesting, too.
I don't know what to do with Gerald McCoy.
I don't either.
Because he's also in the Tampa Bay area where he's not going to get any of the credit that he maybe had deserved. But the argument with Gerald McCoy as well is that he was never the best defensive tackle at his position during his time.
He also didn't put up numbers. He wasn't one of those defensive.
He was super consistent.
Yeah, but he wasn't one of those defensive tackles that was. He wasn't putting up a ton of tackles for loss or sack numbers or anything like that. So he's really tough to evaluate. I think the only ones I feel really good about saying are first ballot are Gronk and Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
Those are still
There's first ballot Hall of Famers on here. Argue with your mama.
There are not six. There are not six first ballot Hall of Famers. There's barely 6 Hall of Famers on that list.
I would say, I don't know. Yeah, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4.
I will say it right now.
I can get to 5.
I am one to make deft proclamations. There's no way Antonio Brown is getting in the Hall of Fame.
Ever. Yeah.
There's just simply no way.
You're supposed to keep the non-football out of it. It's supposed to be football.
Okay, then let's talk the football of it. Yes, he's a Triple Crown winner. He had a great reign of terror for 3 years in Pittsburgh. But comparative to receivers who did it longer, who had more receiving yards than him in that same era, he may have been the best receiver at his time for different years, but could you, if you're not making a solid argument that he was undoubtedly undisputed the number one receiver at the time, I don't think that you can put him in the Hall of Fame first ballot or at all. The receiver group is such a hard group to separate yourself from. Because you're talking about
you're talking
about the Julio Jones, you're talking about
dudes.
Calvin Johnson, you're talking about all these different receivers that a lot of people would probably put above him. And I just don't think Antonio Brown, as great as he was, I think all three of them detract from each other. It's almost like a Heisman race when you have a running back and a quarterback or a quarterback and a receiver. They're kind of taking votes away from each other.
I think those 3 years of his dominance where he was maybe not the best. I think he was fighting for the best with those other two, with some of those other. I think he was easily top 3 in those 3 years, and it was going back and forth. And I think that the numbers he was putting up, and you also add in his special teams things that he was doing, I think that he has a really good case for a first ballot.
Can we return to Cam Newton here for a second?
Yes,
because
we're getting to the Antonio Brown later.
We'll continue with Antonio Brown, but I brought up Cam Newton's stats, and I'm going to be honest with you.
This hurts me. This is tough.
They're worse than you think.
I know.
Especially,
I know.
Even during the stretch you mentioned. So for his entire career, Cam Newton had a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio exactly one time.
Okay, but do remember too.
I know he's got
he's got
the rushing.
Well, no, you've got to remember that the style of system that they played, they're not throwing inside of the 7-yard line. They don't throw the ball, so he's not getting credited. You almost have to put half of his rushing touchdowns as passing touchdowns.
That's
truthfully,
fine for most of those years. That still barely gets him to 2-to-1.
That's fair. Listen, I'm just letting you know.
We have, I believe, one full season in his entire career that he passed for over 60%.
Yeah,
in terms of completion.
No, listen, I know. I watched the games.
It's not.
There wasn't a Thursday night football game that I didn't watch for the Carolina Panthers on national television. All right,
outside of the MVP year, it's pretty rough.
Cam Newton was the biggest personality of the NFL for a long time.
Yeah.
He always drew plenty of cameras and numbers and everything else.
Exciting to watch.
And that's why he gets a lot of the publicity that he does. I think he was a great player. He was the player that lifted Carolina through many years. But, I mean, truthfully, and I know you can make the argument all you want about Luke Kuechly, he was never the best player on his team, except for his MVP season. And even in his MVP season, Luke Kuechly won Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, I think it's tough to make the argument unless you're playing with other all-timers. I think it's tough to make the argument if you've never been the best player on your own team that you should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That's a pretty tough argument to make.
Even if it's on the other side of the ball?
I mean, that's a little bit more leeway.
Right. Because that's how you'd look at it. You'd say you had Kuechly on one side and you had Cam Newton on the other. But his first 2 seasons, Steve Smith was his receiver. I would have said Cam was an incredible rookie. His second year took a little bit of a dip. Steve Smith, had he not been there, very tough to argue. A lot of people would say Greg Olsen was one of the best tight ends in the NFL at that time too. So he gets lifted, but he also elevated the play of a lot of other players. He's a very, very tough conversation because you can go back and forth with it. And you can even tell in my mind that I think he's in the Hall of Very Good. I don't think that he is necessarily in the Hall of Fame. I think in 15 years, maybe, that they could relook at it and say, wow, look at all the things that he did to get these mobile quarterbacks and these read option quarterbacks and all the new mobility of quarterbacks and how we reestablished how we look at the NFL type or the NFL style of quarterback, right? But I don't think that they give legacy awards on your first ballot, nor do they give your legacy award in the first 10 years of you being available.
Yeah, I was trying to look and see which Hall of Famers or which MVP players aren't in the Hall of Fame. And it's a pretty, I mean, you got Rodgers.
I feel like it'd be a lot higher than you'd think.
I'm trying to look here. The one that jumps out is Matt Ryan a Hall of Famer? Did he make it?
No, he's not eligible.
He's not eligible yet. Okay, so Matt Ryan is one that I think could go either way. Is Rich Gannon a Hall of Famer?
No.
Is Sean Alexander
No.
a Hall of Famer?
I don't think so. I'll double check that.
McNair is, right? Steve McNair?
No.
Okay.
I don't think he is.
So those are three. Outside of that, Terrell Davis made it, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Outside of that,
he finally got in because I remember Shannon doing like a speech.
That's right. Yes.
is Boomer in?
Boomer's not in.
Yeah,
Boomer's not
in. Steve is not in. Steve hasn't made it past the semifinals in voting.
That's right.
Terrell Davis is in?
Terrell Davis is 2017.
So we're talking about four guys in about 40 years that have won MVPs that aren't in the Hall of Fame. So that would be the case for Cam Newton, is that, hey, most MVPs get in, but also most MVPs have better careers than Cam Newton did. Like that's you don't generally have, again, and the guys that you look at, Sean Alexander had kind of a one-off incredible year. Had a nice stretch there, but had the 1 year. Steve McNair had 1 year where he was different than basically every other year in his career. Like, he kind of lines up with some of these other guys that don't make it. I think I know it hurts you.
It's tough because I want him to be in. That's the hardest part,
get it.
right?
I do.
But I know that the argument, I don't think, and this is something I argue with one of my friends, Lucas, who's an even bigger Panthers fan than I am. I argue with him all the time. I'm like, he's just not.
Do you have like a support group, or where did you
it's
find
three of us. It's
another
He
Panthers
actually
fan?
just showed up at UNK my sophomore year. I was like, that's crazy. What
I
are
have
you
a
doing?
fourth one you can add.
I don't
actually
need
ran-
any more,
I-
actually. Thank you, though.
I ran into somebody that was like, I'm a huge Panthers fan. And I was just like, wait, why? They're like from here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you mean?
See, that's what's funny is that the very first time I met Happer, he told me, he was like, oh, I'm a Panthers fan. And he was just being, an ass about it. And so I was asking him a bunch of Panther questions. And he goes, I really don't care. It's my bit. I said, that's funny. That's really funny. Like, have you ever told someone
My culture's not your costume, Happer.
Everyone's had this experience where you tell someone something you're so passionate about and you like pour your heart out into them. They just go, oh, that's lame. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's basically like every day when I would talk about tennis with DB. He's just like,
That's still going to be every day when you talk tennis.
That's true, but I'm going to bully you into appreciating it.
See, this is the problem now. This is more your show than it's ever been. So now we're actually going to get to the putting your best 11 men on the field at all times. More of a DB question.
We're still never getting to that.
We certainly aren't now.
Although I will say, and this is just perfect because we're just rolling in exactly how we would with Dan. We're just going topic to topic. Brandon's going to freak out with how he's going to have to write these podcasts. I thought it was interesting what Rule had to say. Do you know how many times the word competition got brought up?
Ooh, I don't.
From Saturday? You want to guess, Rico?
22.
13. He said the word competition 13 times.
Ooh.
I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah. And now it was asked a couple of times, and he said it a little bit more as in terms of not necessarily like position battles and that sort of stuff, but that was referenced a few times. So I thought it was interesting. It's not that this is the time of year that we're not shocked that they're having, these guys are in a competition, or whatever stuff. I just thought if that's sometimes you have to sift through a lot of the coach speak, right? And I thought Saturday was a lot of filler. Because it's all stuff that we've heard before, right?
Yeah.
And it's stuff that, I mean, we're asking about the first week of August when no one has been able to see anything. It's new coaches and stuff. And he was pretty short answered with a couple of the, oh, what have you seen from this? What do you think about this? And it was really one or two sentences. But then he opened up about a couple of other things. And I thought it was interesting that he talked a little bit about the competitive depth that they were talking through.
Yeah.
Especially through that first week. And I thought it was interesting. He mentioned the receivers. He mentioned on the defensive side, especially. I found it very intriguing that there's a lot more maybe position battles than what we had considered. Gunnar Gatula was one that he named specifically, that he was in a competition for right tackle.
So this is one that we had talked about for a while. Everybody assumed that Tree Babalade was going to get that starting spot because he came in as a transfer and everything like that. But DB and I talked about it in the spring, well, in the winter when he came in, and kind of throughout the spring. Like, Gunnar played as a redshirt freshman at a position where it's really hard to play young. He held his own and looked functional, right? I'm not going to say he looked perfect, but he was physically he just was not ready. And he was still able to kind of hold his own in there. I think he's got an opportunity to win that job. I don't know that it's a given. And while I think the other four on the offensive line are probably wrapped up, I don't think there's going to be much competition there, despite the fact that Sam Sledge is really good. He's not passing Justin Evans.
Yep.
I think Tyler Knak's a good depth piece, but he's not passing any of the other guys on the line there. But I don't know that the Tree Babalade and Gunnar Gatula thing has ever been as much of a separation as people kind of anticipated. And that's great. I mean, that's terrific. Not just for Gunnar as a local kid, but just for the quality of the line and everything there. I think one of the best things you can have on a football team is competitive depth and people actually fighting for jobs, right? Like, I think that's been one of the biggest problems with the quarterback rooms, not just in the last couple of years with Dylan, but for a long time at Nebraska. Like, nobody ever pushed Taylor Martinez. Mm-hmm. Nobody ever pushed Adrian Martinez, really, right? Did anybody? I don't remember anybody really pushing Tommy Armstrong, except for when he was banged up a little bit.
I don't even remember a competition for Tanner Lee.
That's what I mean.
Casey Thompson wasn't necessarily.
I think the first competitive quarterback battle was when Taylor Martinez emerged as the starter back in like 2010.
Yeah. Because it was between him and Zach Lee, right?
I believe so, yeah, because Zach Lee had started the year before, and they're like, hey, is this, and people didn't even, a lot of people, this is, pre-current internet stage, a lot of people didn't even know Taylor Martinez was playing quarterback. Like, he came in as an athlete. Most people thought he'd be a safety, and then he just, I guess, was tearing people up on scout team his entire redshirt year, and Bo's like, well, I can't guard mobile quarterbacks. Maybe you can't either.
Yeah.
And they couldn't.
Seemed to work out.
For, part of that year. But it was like the quarterback room is a place where I think competitive depth is way underrated. I think the running back room is incredibly competitive.
I mean, you would argue that's the number one competition spot, right? Because in terms of starter, if you're like, this amount of people are vying for one spot to get their name on the title card at Memorial Stadium, that's running back, right?
I think so, yeah. I mean, if we get into the secondary, I think that gets pretty murky as well. I don't know. Andrew Marshall.
Like corner outside of Marshall.
So Andrew Marshall is definitely going to start at corner. I think Jeremiah Charles is going to start at the other corner.
Another guy that got brought up, yeah.
But I don't know that for sure. But you get into the safeties, and I do think that I think there's a lot up for grabs there. So I would say either safeties or running backs.
You got 5 spots you got to play. So
right, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of bodies for those. I guess 3 safety spots. Yep. What you do with the nickel. But
you probably put. I mean, obviously, like Donovan Jones, like Danny Odom. Like there's a lot of guys that you have either high hopes for from what you saw a year ago, or high hopes from their talent evaluation and where they came in as freshmen, like Danny Odom would be. And luckily, in a 4-2-5, if you have a lot of talented defensive backs, you're probably going to play pretty well. So.
Absolutely. So I think. But if you're talking about number of guys for one spot, it is running back. I would be totally fine. I wouldn't even blink twice if any of 3 different guys started in Mosey, Nelson, or Jamal Rule. I wouldn't blink at all. I think Quentin Ives can have a part on this team. I think Connor Booth is a good running back and can have a part of, like, people ask me a few times over the offseason about the depth of the running back room because obviously you lose an All-American and people get a little antsy, which I understand. But I keep telling them, hey, if Connor Booth's your fourth running back, you're in great shape because, like, that guy can actually play.
Yeah.
Like, that guy can actually play. And so I also think people are dramatically underestimating, not to be hot take artists or anything like that. I think Jamal Rule's really good.
Yeah.
I have no indication of anything other than the fact that guy can play. So
Friend of the show.
we love Jamal Rule. He came on right after he committed. But that's a guy where I think people are not appreciating how good that dude is because he's a true freshman. We don't really have a ton of frame of reference outside the spring game. But that dude, I think, is really good and is going to have a chance to play as a rotation guy. And I wouldn't blink twice if, they rolled him out for Ohio or North Dakota and was like, hey, he's going to start today. I would not blink twice at any of those three guys starting at running back. So I think that is a super competitive room. I think we know more who the starters are at wide receiver, but I think that's a super competitive room
100%.
as
Yeah,
well.
and I think that's a great example as to what Rule was trying to allude to, if not said almost entirely outright on Saturday from what he was asked and what he was talking about, is especially at wide receiver, because this is where your brain goes to first almost, right? And quarterback is up there too. But when you talk about competition, I think so many times when we're in this stage of fall camp, whether it's the NFL, even high school, college, you think of competition as who's going to be taking a starting spot or who's competing for what we perceive to be an opening. I think that there's a lot of competition at the receivers because everybody can play. It's a matter of who kind of fits the best as to where they're going. I don't even know if it's necessarily a competition at receiver. I wonder if they're still just fidgeting a little bit, trying to say, okay, if Isaiah is great in this package, how do we get Quasi to be able to be in this great fit over here on the outside? And how do we get the ball to Quinn Clark more? And how do we make sure that, every mouth is getting fed the best way possible? Because that is, I think, one part that a lot of detractors of Nebraska football would say, well, you don't have a number one guy. There's not one person that you'd say, it's 3rd and 5, who do you go to get the ball to? I would say it's almost a better option that if it's 3rd and 5 and you need to throw it, but you have the option to run with Calandria, that there's not, okay, we know exactly where the ball is going. The defense can load up on this or be prepared for that. I think the more options you have in a 4-wide, even with Luke Lindenmeyer in a passing set, you feel really good about the ability of your team to expose a defensive liability because of the different athletes and everything else that you can present offensively in those certain scenarios.
And I think it's important. There's a difference between not having a guy because they haven't established themselves yet and not having a guy because you don't have anyone that fits that skill set. I do think they have guys that fit that skill set in the wide receiver room. I think Isaiah Hunter was close to becoming that guy last year, especially early in the year. I think Quasi Gilmore had moments last year for UCLA that you're like, hey, there's a skill set there. He could be a number one guy. I think Quinn Clark's in that conversation in terms of skill set. That's a dude that can go up, make contested catches, and really put you in a position to be able to convert some of those situations you were talking about there. So, and then obviously Ja'Cory Barney, I don't really know I don't look at him as like a one. I look at him as a slot receiver where, but you watch the NFL, those slot guys turn into super high target guys sometimes, and that wouldn't surprise me with Ja'Cory either. And then you throw in Cortez Mills as well. I still really like Keelan Smith.
And we still don't know what Bonner's full role was last year either. So I think that leaves a huge opening for what they perceive to be. Could be a gigantic fill in what they maybe needed.
I imagine Bonner will have kind of a hybrid role between sort of the movement tight end position like Carter Nelson and a normal wide receiver. So Janarin Bonner is going to be super interesting. And then we haven't even gotten to the tight ends in terms of pass catchers as well. So I think there's a ton of competitive depth there. And when I look at receivers and running backs, I don't really look at it as starters or backups. I look at it as like touches, right? Like how many targets are you going to get as a wide receiver? That's more important to me than, oh, well, this guy started and I just played later. Like if you play the same amount of snaps as a guy, but you get more targets, you won that competition, I think.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Same thing with running back. Like if one guy, like let's say Mekhi Nelson starts, but Mosey gets more carries, then Mosey won that competition, in my opinion, right? So I think there's a lot of different factors there when you're looking at skill position guys and guys that are going to have touches. I'd look at the competition part of it differently, but even in the quarterback room, right? Like Anthony Calandria is going to be the starter, right? If everything goes well, everybody stays healthy, Anthony Calandria is the starter. But having a guy like TJ Lateef, who has played, who's gone on the road in the Big Ten and won, who has a skill set that Dana Holgorsen can really work with, I think is a really big deal of it's not about winning the job from Anthony Calandria. It's about making sure Anthony Calandria has to keep improving to keep his job, right? And that's something that Nebraska hasn't had at a lot of positions, but quarterback in particular over the last 20 years or however long you want to, roll this thing back into when Nebraska hasn't been as good as we wanted him to be. That's one of the biggest issues, not just at quarterback, but I would argue on the lines for sure, and definitely at the skill positions with wide receiver. I mean, a couple years ago, we were like, can they put 4 wide receivers on the field?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, notably, they weren't able to throw the ball downfield for multiple reasons. But you didn't have enough playmakers to be able to do that.
And you had to come in. You go, okay, well, and listen, this is not a shot at Alex Bullock at all because he did a good job. But you come in, you're like, hey, there's this walk-on guy that most people haven't heard of unless they're really familiar with Creighton Prep football. And then you're just like, well, that might be our leading receiver this year, or he's the only downfield threat that we have. Like, this is a much different position than a couple years ago. And you look at the roster up and down, you have to be at least encouraged that that part has improved. I know there's a lot of people that are pessimistic or, cautiously, kind of not wanting to put all their eggs in the basket of, hey, this is going to be a good year, a good team. But the roster's better.
Yes.
I don't think there's any way around that.
And so that's something that I was, when you were just explaining all that, the thought crossed my mind too. And if you're Anthony Calandria and you come in and you're the new guy, even Kalen to somewhat of an extent in this, right? TJ probably has some preferred guys that he likes to work with. And whether he's going to say that out loud or not, whatever, right? But just naturally when you're a quarterback, there's some receivers you get a better connection with that through the season, through practices, through off-season 7-on-7s, whatever you want to do, you're going to form a different bond with different receivers. That's just natural, right? It's the same thing in any walk of life, right? If you work with enough people or if you're in a business long enough, there are some people that you just work better with and there are other people that you just work with.
Absolutely.
If you're Calandria and you come in, and there's not a person, and again, Ja'Cory Barney is a great receiver. I think a lot of people outside, maybe even inside, would say he's our number one guy. Some people would say it's Isaiah. It doesn't matter. But if you're Anthony Calandria, you're the quarterback who walks into the building, you're told, hey, you're probably a presumed starter, you're going to compete for the job, whatever. It's kind of nice that you don't have someone who's in your face being told to you by a coaching staff, by a perception, by any of that, hey, build your relationship with this guy.
Yeah.
Because this is our number one guy. This is a guy who got us all the plays last year, all that sort of stuff. It's got to be nice to say, I can spread it out. I can know what I want to do, and I can build a rapport with each and every person. And especially, like you said, in a wide receiver and even tight end room, that's as deep as it goes for Nebraska. You get yourself a chance to not have to rely on just one person when you get into crunch time or when you get into those moments, that you have an opportunity to build rapport with all these different pass catchers and athletes. And when you get into, the Ohio game, you're going to face the third down, probably more than likely. And it'll be great to find out, as we all will together, who kind of those number one targets are. And I think that there were a couple of times, even the past few years, I was surprised at who Dylan would go to more often than not. Because that first year, I think a lot of people expected Jamal Banks was going to be the guy that everyone was, kind of forwarded to. He was the Wake Forest guy. Everyone had considered, hey, he's kind of this guy that's going to come in and be your possession receiver, get your third downs. Dane Key had that role last year. But as it kind of progressed, it turned out a lot of the screen passes, a lot of the bigger plays went to Ja'Cory, went to Isaiah.
Yeah.
And then now we go into a new season with a new quarterback. I'm excited to kind of see just where his relationships grow with how deep the receiver room is.
Lowdown says Calandria has the chance to do the funniest thing, come out against Ohio and do the Mahomes pregame routine.
That would be very funny. Which quarterback will he go for?
That would be an incredible bit.
Yeah.
Honestly, it'd be funnier if he just chose like a different quarterback to mimic. If he just was like, hey, I'm going to just be
King.
Yeah, he's just going to cosplay. Minus, let's not do the hamstring thing though.
He's a one-off.
He's just going to cosplay as a different NFL quarterback. Like, that'd be a little fun.
I'm trying to think which quarterback would I want him to be.
I mean, who's
not J.J. McCarthy? It's off the table. Can't be him.
Who's his big rival? It would be Josh Allen, right?
Oh, that would be very funny.
Yeah,
do the Josh Allen.
Yeah, just come out with like Haley Steinfeld or something. And
that'd be great. That'd be great. I don't know how he's going to do that.
Listen,
but
make Haley a Nebraska fan. It's fine.
Anything's possible.
Anything is possible. No, I think it's I think it's a good point though. And there's I think it'll be really interesting to see who Calandria has developed that chemistry with, because that's when we saw Isaiah Hunter kind of fall off, is when Dylan Raiola got hurt, because he had very good chemistry with Dylan, and obviously TJ hadn't gotten those reps with him in yet. So,
but then who thrived? Obviously, it was Emmett in the receiving game a little bit more.
Absolutely.
That UCLA game, they protected TJ as much as they could with some of the screens and the wheel routes and all that sort of stuff. But tight end is always a person's best friend, and I know we're really high on Lindenmeyer. And then, of course, when you get Carter Nelson in there too, you can do the athletic stuff. I think that they have a lot of options. That's what I like the most about just kind of referring back to the whole competition part of it. Everybody's vying for reps. I don't know that everyone is vying for starts.
Yeah, and I do think it's, there's a kind of a fine balance there in my mind between having lots of options and having guys that you trust, right? You do need at some point, and I would say after the first 3 games of the season, by the time you get to Big Ten play and you go to Michigan State, you want to have answered some of those questions, right? You want to know that, hey, Calandria feels really good finding Quasi Gilmore on 3rd and 6, or hey, these are some of the pet plays in the running game that we feel like we can get 3 yards on, and this is kind of the running back that we like in these types of plays or in these packages, as opposed, it's like, hey, we like Mosey on counter, but we like Nelson on duo, and those types of things where I want to have that figured out in the first 3 games. If we can figure that out in the first 3 games, I'll feel really good about moving forward into the Big Ten season. If by the end of was it North Dakota, the 3rd one in order? Yeah. If by the end of the North Dakota game, I'm sitting here and I go, I don't really know who Calandria trusts. I don't really know if they figured out which backs and what their strengths are. Then I'm going to be a little bit more concerned going into Big Ten play, just because, Kobe's right. You do need a number 1 receiver. I think they've got a few guys that could fill that role. I don't know who those guys are yet. And so anytime you're in that situation, you are in a little bit of a danger zone of, hey, maybe none of those guys turn into the number 1 receiver.
Yeah.
And I think that's very much on the table, but I like it better than not having any options.
How much better is it, too, that you may have true deep threats as well?
Because
I know
that's a huge difference.
They have Ja'Cory's been quick, obviously. Dana Holgerson mentioned it on his Husker Radio Network clip that came out Thursday or Friday. People were getting faster. Rule said it on Saturday that the strength and conditioning development of it, that receivers have increased their 40 times. That Quinn Clark notably went from a 4.7 to a 4.5 since his arrival in Lincoln to where he is now. You have more chances to not only have more receiving threats, but also guys that can push the ball downfield more. And who knows, maybe you have a quarterback that has a little bit more of a chance to be able to get the ball to them, too. I don't know if people would say 1-to-1 that there's a more live arm between Dylan and Anthony Calandria. They'd probably push Dylan a little bit further with just saying, hey, he can push the ball down a little bit further. But
he wasn't willing
accuracy,
to. And he wasn't willing to.
Yes.
That's the thing about, you can have the greatest arm of all time. If you're not going to throw the damn ball, who cares?
Right.
That was the problem. And listen, I know I've given Dylan a really hard time.
What if I frame it this way? Were receivers given opportunities to win one-on-ones?
He didn't trust his receivers to win 50-50 balls.
They were thrown open in space, but they weren't given the chance to win a tight contested battle.
Yeah, and listen, for as much grief as I've given Raiola, and I think a lot of it deserved, some of it is I'm just giving him a hard time. But he was the best quarterback on the roster the last 2 years, without a doubt. That's not even a conversation. But there were things that he really, really struggled with. One, getting rid of the football on time. Famously, could not get rid of the football on time. I don't know if he was hesitant. I don't know if he wasn't processing things well enough. I don't know if he was afraid of making a mistake. I don't know. What I do know is he was not getting rid of the football in a timely manner, and that hurt Nebraska on a lot of occasions last year. Number 2, he seemed really hesitant to throw the ball down the field. I don't know. Again, don't know if he didn't want to have a turnover. Don't know if he was not seeing things well. Maybe he just didn't trust his receivers to win that ball. I don't know. What I do know is he really was not pushing the ball downfield, and he did not get rid of the ball on time. And so when you have those 2 things, that makes life really difficult as a wide receiver. At some point, you have to trust, hey, I'm not Isaiah Hunter. I'm a big physical guy. You have to give me a shot to go win a ball that's a 50-50 ball. And that just didn't happen last year. It happened early as a freshman a little bit. I don't know. I remember a couple different plays where receivers lost 50-50 balls. I don't know if that sort of like gave him a little trauma and he just didn't want to put himself in that position again. I think Illinois was one of them in the end zone. They, turned in an interception. And then there was one, them both might have been against.
There was Illinois. A Northern Iowa one that was his first interception, if I remember that freshman year.
It was to Lloyd.
Yep.
Yeah, and
again, both weird. Like they both got taken away from the receiver. It was just,
it seemed like they had
plays.
it. Yeah. It seemed like they had it. They didn't have it. They actually called a touchdown against Illinois. And so you sit there and you go, okay, even on plays where he did push the ball down the field, usually a lot of times it was underthrown. The receiver had to wait for it. He didn't want to overthrow guys. Like for whatever reason, he had some sort of mental hiccup about throwing the ball downfield. Lowdown says, I'm still in shock. He actually threw the Hail Mary just before half against Michigan. Yeah. It was kind of out of character for him. And so whatever that hang up was with Dylan, if you can at least eliminate that and give your wide receivers a chance as a quarterback, that's a huge difference, even though I think Dylan probably clearly has more arm talent than not just Anthony Calandria, than most people.
Yeah.
But if you're not going to throw the ball, it doesn't matter how talented your arm is, right? And that's not to say I think Anthony Calandria can sling it. He's got a pretty live arm there.
I mean, you want to know the difference between it too. There's a very, very fun meme time when Casey Thompson was the quarterback that it was F it, someone's down there, right? It was
Trey's down there somewhere.
Trey Palmer's down there somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And at some point, you just wish that Dylan would have said, F it, Ja'Cory Barney's down there, right? And he had a couple of those. I remember the UCLA game his freshman year when he was rolling out and he threw a YOLO ball that was underthrown and Ja'Cory came back to it. It was one of the bigger plays of that game. That was a notable dud on that entire season. But still, it was just one of those opportunities where Anthony Calandria, from what you can tell so far, he likes being able to give guys options. Yeah. I'm just saying, you know what? I think if I get the right look, I'm just going to give you a chance to win a ball. Yeah. And I don't really, not that he doesn't care about the result, but that he trusts that his player will make the play and he thinks that the result is going to benefit better rather than tucking and running or doing anything else. I think, especially with the guys that he has, Nebraska is going to have a lot of chances to go one-on-one across the board. And if you can find those and you know where you're putting the ball and you can put it in a place where your guy can make a play, Nebraska has a chance to make some big plays.
So Sean brings up what I think is a really interesting point, because I think it's sort of there's another player that I think is very different than Dylan that I think had a little bit of this as well. He says, Dylan never wanted to throw a pass that would make him look bad. And I actually think there's a lot to that. I think there, and especially, and I'm not trying to make a character judgment, I'm just making some observations here. Especially when you have a guy like Dylan whose public persona is fairly well curated. I think they're very, very very, very aware of how they're perceived. And within that sense, I do think that can affect your play on the field. For some reason in his mind, he got the idea that it was better to take a sack than to throw a pass that made him look bad.
This reminds me of the breath of fresh air comments.
Yes. And I think, weirdly enough, that sort of gives me first year at Colorado Shedeur Sanders vibes. I don't know if you remember how many sacks and how long Shedeur held onto the ball his first year, especially at Colorado.
But remember, his completion percentage is at 76%.
And again, Dylan has a super high completion percentage. It was, again, Shedeur, a guy that had an NFL father, very aware of how he's perceived. Now, they're very different in the way they portray themselves publicly, but clearly both very aware of their public perception and their brand, if you will. There's a part of me that thinks they shared a similar disposition where it's like, I'm not going to throw a pass that might get interception or not might get intercepted. I don't really want to dirt any balls because that's going to ruin my completion percentage. Maybe that's it, maybe it's not, but that certainly would fit into how I sort of view them both as people. Now, I will say Shedeur did a better job of that his second year in Colorado. He improved in some of those things because that was some feedback that he got, I think, from NFL talent evaluators. But it was it would not surprise me if being hyper aware of how you're perceived outside of football, it'd be hard to compartmentalize that and not have that creep in a little bit. If you're baby Mahomes, you really want to be taking interceptions? And I don't know. I think there might be something to that.
That is interesting. That's not something that I thought of. But it is something, I mentioned, that Justin Evans had talked about it. First comment coming out of Big Ten Media Days when they got past all of the hey, you're into broadcasting. You like doing this sort of stuff. And they asked him a football question. It was about Anthony Calandria, and the first words out of his mouth were, it's like having a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
I think that that's very telling. And he didn't mention it in play style. He didn't mention it in character. He didn't mention it in just overall gravitas or any of that stuff. He just said it very generically. It could mean 100,000 different things. But I think that there is something about all of the other things that many people noticed about the Dylan Raiola experience at Nebraska that had to have been noticed and taken a part of by the Nebraska football locker room, because they were with him more often than not.
Yeah.
And again, there are plenty of people that are in that locker room that still have great relationships with him. I know Ja'Cory Barney still works out with him. Emmett Johnson and him are constantly tagging each other and commenting on their, social media posts. I know they stay in touch.
It's not this is he's like a bad person.
No, this isn't saying that he, he's like shaking hands with Mussolini or anything like that. Like, he's not doing anything that bad. But I mean, like, he is he didn't like that one.
Just didn't think we'd get a Mussolini reference in hour one. But that's okay.
Someone's got to get us off the rails a little bit. But no, it's not that he was a bad person. It wasn't that anything that he did was wrong, any of that, right?
Yeah.
But there is something to say about just someone that walks in who everyone's meeting really for the first time when he arrives in March, February, January, whenever it was, that Calandria, that everyone just goes, you know what, this is different. And whether different is right or good, we won't know until that ball kicks off on September 5th.
A couple interesting observations here. Headley says, seems like Calandria is the dude that would be cool with terrible stats if it means his team gets the W. I actually agree with that.
I think that's notable in his turnover percentage, right? I mean, obviously he's fumbled a little too more than what people would like, but most of those are not fumbles that it's him trying to make plays, right? He's not getting sacked and stripped in the pocket. He's not dropping the ball randomly. Like, he is going downfield making plays, and he's just losing the ball.
Jack says, part of the problem, you should never make an 18-year-old the face of your program. It changed Dylan's mindset. This kind of goes back to that hero or savior syndrome that people, I think, had with not just Dylan, but had with Scott Frost. And you would think at the time, 45-year-old would be better equipped to handle it than an 18-year-old, but you never know. I'm just saying, like, one's an adult, one's basically a child still, and they both acted like children. No,
you're just getting all your hate out right now.
It was.
You want to do a Bo Jackson segment next?
No, I'm okay. But I do think I think that's part of the reason why I'm adamant that Nebraska does not want to start Trey Taylor as a true freshman. It would be very easy to fall into that trap. That's why I think the 5-for-5 thing is a really big deal for Nebraska. And having the opportunity for Calandria to maybe start back-to-back years, even if it's not, you've got TJ Lateef in a position where he would be able to start for Nebraska at least for a year before Trey Taylor is ready. I think it's critically important that you get out of this thing where you have to start true freshmen, because Jack's right. You don't want an 18-year-old to be the face of your program. It's a way bigger job than it used to be. And frankly, Nebraska's not in a place where they have so much talent around them that you can kind of hide and insulate them a little bit. Nebraska's not there yet, especially when Dylan was starting. Nebraska was certainly not there. And so being able to be the face of a $100 million football program at 18 years old, like, that's a lot. So it's not even necessarily disparaging. I understand why you would be super aware of your brand and not wanting to make missteps and things like that. Like, we've seen the Johnny Manziels of the world kind of go off the rails, or like the Jameis Winstons, and like all these different guys that have had a ton of success super young and become the face of a program. Like, yeah, it doesn't go very well when you're not really hyper aware of your brand and how you're being perceived. But it's really hard if that goes on to the field as well. Like, I think that's a really tricky place to be.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's take a quick break here. Sam McKewon will join us next here on Herd At Sports Live. And then later on at 9 o'clock, we will talk to Sean Callahan as well. I do think DB's,
we can't call him Gas Can we?
No, I think that's a DB-specific situation. We are going to try and talk to DB at some point today. I know that he's in a team meeting right now, but is going to try and join us today. If not today, it will be soon. So
they better make him sing like they did Jeep.
I mean, DB, he loves to sing, so that might...
Jelly Roll?
He only talks to God when he needs a favor. That's Austin. I'm Ravi. It's Herd At Sports Live.
How would you describe Jeep Wade in his coaching style and how he gets the best out of his players?
He's been great ever since I've known him. The recruiting process, everything's been great. His style is very unique to himself, and ever since I've been here in the spring and even throughout the summer being coached by him, he allowed us to do what we need to do to get the job done. And obviously he teaches everything that we need to get better at, but allowing us to be free, allowing us to be consistent in what we do is what he's looking forward to the most, rather than having to overcomplicate things. He keeps it simple and allowed us to play the game that we like to play and do the best that we need to do in order to get the wins. And that's one thing that's been very unique. Other coaches just wanted their way or no way, but obviously give us the grace to experience things that help us be better as a player, and then being out there and competing the best of our ability. So that's something that's been very unique to him, and I enjoy that.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about peptides. You are doing it right. At NextGen Male Medical Clinic, peptide treatments are clinician guided, tailored to your goals, monitored for safety. Call today or visit nextgenmmc.com.
You're listening to Herd at Sports Live.
So we're really not looking for guys to give a ton of speeches. If there's a time to say something and you have that, you have that gravitas with the team, great. We don't need to know that our best players. Your best players aren't always your leaders. Sometimes people have natural ability to say things and listen to when they need to be led. But we had a deal the other day where the 2D tackles were talking about a blitz, and there's a potential for a check, so they're going to run the blitz. But if they hear the check and they're kind of listening for the check because they think it might come, and they came out and they were standing over next to Corey, and I was standing near them, and they were talking about it, and they were like, well, if Owen says this, then that, and if he says that, and if not, we'll do this. And they're like, but Owen will make that check. And one of them just out north says Owen's a great leader. And so to me, I've never heard Owen speak in front of the team. I don't hear him calling the guys up and breaking them down, but I do know, and he hasn't told me this, but I do know from the other guys, like he's the guy saying, hey, let's meet, let's talk about this, hey, let's attack this. And that to me is the most valuable thing from a player.
Welcome back, Herd at Sports Live, presented by NextGen Male Medical. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Herd at Sports HQ. We are joined now by Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald. Sam, how are we doing this morning?
I'm good, guys. How are you today?
Good, Sam. Can't complain.
Just getting used to
new era,
new setup here.
New era. Yeah.
It's been good. We're all very happy for DB and the opportunity that he's getting with Coach Rule and the staff over there. So I'm sure we'll still hear from him from time to time, but very happy for him.
I'm happy for him too. And Matt Rule made a really good hire. I think that was easily one of the best and most important hires Rule has made since he got here. Damon will be able to not only do a great job with the student athletes because he's a teacher and he loves kids and he knows how to talk to 18 to 22-year-olds. I think he'll also be just valuable to Rule in terms of, you talk about a guy that's built a lot of relationships in the state in recent years, but also has all the old school relationships that matter, and I think those are valuable to have. You got to have people inside a Nebraska football program who have those relationships and have that continuity. that's just important to have. You can't do this thing with just a relatively new staff. You have to have the overarching story of Nebraska football in your building, and they will.
Sam, going off of some of the things that Rule said over the weekend, we heard the term competitive or competition quite a bit in the first remarks we heard from Rule since fall camp opened. Big deal, not a big deal. How did you take how much the focus was on the competition of it all?
Oh, I think it's accurate. I think that's exactly where they're at. I think he likes the nature of his team. It is an older team with a lot of third and fourth year guys. I'll be candid with you. If you're going to keep recruiting at the level that Nebraska's recruiting, and I think that's the intention going forward. That small class, the one class they had, I think was kind of a one-off that was rooted in sort of NIL stuff and sort of, okay, we're gonna go ahead and give this group of guys that we brought in here 3 years ago, this is going to be the year. Well, now this is the year. And so some of the guys that are in the program right now that are part of the 105, and it's like 110, this is the year they got to make the move. The fourth-year juniors, third-year sophomores, those guys have to make the jump now, or they're probably going to be told after the season, hey, there's not going to be any NIL money for you. So, because I don't think Nebraska is going to slow its recruiting down. Does that make sense? So I think, yeah, this is a big moment for a lot of those guys, and I think you're seeing the competition play out that way in camp. I think it's going to be pretty fierce because there's a lot of guys who want to play and want to stay in this program.
Sam, were there any names that surprised you that came up on Saturday, just in terms of like what we're talking about with the competition, or someone like an Owen Chambliss, Jeremiah Charles, any of those names that surprised you of how Rule spoke about them and their development?
No, there wasn't anybody that came up that surprised me. I think Jeremiah Charles has been a known quantity in the program. I think they've been trying very hard to get him to do what they want him to do. Sorry, I think I lost you there for a second.
We've got you.
Now, look, I mean, they got to do it. I think that they got guys that can go do it in the lab. Now they got to go do it out in the field. And so I think Charles is one of those guys. They feel really good about his development trajectory and the way that he's played in practice. Now I think he's got to go out and do it in games. And they have a very small sample size of what he can do in games based on what happened in the UCLA game a couple of years ago. So I think the hope is that they're able to get these guys where they need to get them and that they respond on the field. Some of those things can only be answered with playing the games, right? So like I'm kind of going through, okay, here are the guys that still have to prove themselves, or guys that might be breakout stars. I think, for example, Carter Nelson's a guy that has been very encouraging over the course of 2.5 years, and it does take 2.5 years most of the time to develop a tight end. That's just reality. But now he's got to go do it out on the field. Tree Babolat is another good example. Tree Babalade, sorry. He had good moments in South Carolina, and I think he's gotten good reports so far at Nebraska. But this is the Big Ten. It's basically the same as the SEC. You're not going to go into games and go, well, there's no SEC defensive end across. I mean, no, that's not true. These guys are good. Maryland's got guys that are going to get drafted, and Michigan State probably has a player or two, and Indiana's got 4 or 5 NFL guys across their defensive line. So like, you're going to have to play, and he's also got to win his job. Gunnar Gatula's right there, and Gunnar Gatula's track record at Nebraska is about as good as Tree's at South Carolina. So there's a lot of ways in which there's much to prove, and so some of the names that are coming up are guys that they certainly want to like reach their potential, but they have to go do it in games. The corner and the safety discussions are very interesting because they have a lot of older guys at those positions. They can't all play the same number of snaps. It's not going to be, well, this guy played 20 and this guy, that's not going to happen. So somebody's going to win and somebody's going to be a backup and play special teams. And I'm really curious to see how that all plays out, especially at like safety. Like if you had, at the end of last year, I think we would have had a pretty good idea of what they were doing there. Now, well, it's Dwayne McDougal. Is it Rex Guthrie? Is it Caleb Benning? Is it Justin Rhett? Is it Jameer Khan playing safety because Donovan Jones is the nickel in the old Eric Hague role? Like, we don't know. I think that's something they all have to figure out in the next 3 weeks, and probably all the way into the season, they're going to be mixing and matching guys and trying to figure out who's the best combination for when they hit Big Ten play.
Sam, we've brought up a couple different positions there. You brought up the right tackle spot with Babalade and Gunnar Gattulo. You brought up a bunch of the the secondary guys. Austin and I earlier were talking about the running back position. Is there a spot that you think is most up for grabs in terms of who the actual starter will be?
Well, I think right tackle is going to be very competitive. So I don't think it. I think both of them are good options. So I don't know if Gunnar Gattulo wins that job, then I think it's not going to be, we don't know. Like, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Either way, I think that's a very competitive spot. I think the safety next to McDougal, and I assume McDougal will start, is unknown in part because do you want Jameer Khan to be a safety too? Or do you want him rotating at nickel with Donovan Jones? Do you want Donovan Jones rotating at corner? Now, Jones hasn't played any corner. He just moved to nickel. So how's that all going to look? So I think the safety spot next to McDougal is, very competitive. And we're going to hear from Tyler Yelk tomorrow, and we'll try to get a rundown of everything that he says, because there's a whole bunch of guys to put in that conversation. There's Guthrie, there's Rhett, there's Benning, there's maybe Khan, Jason Shiggs from Towson. I don't know if anybody else. Probably that's the group. But that's a lot of guys I just rattled off. And two of those guys started in the bowl game. Rhett and Benning started in the bowl game. So those two guys could also start again. It's fun to watch. And then at the defensive end spot, not that it matters that much, but like if you're telling me who's going to be on the first third down of the season, I don't know if it's Williams Nwaneri. I'd have him out there if he's good to go, but it could be Anthony Jones and Cam Lenhart. So there's a lot of positions that are still under evaluation, mostly on the defense, but the right tackle one on offense, and that's a good one. And then the running back situation, let me just say this. I think they're going to have multiple running backs. You've already talked about this a lot. Damon talked about it a ton too. I think they're going to have multiple guys. I think that they're just going to have to go into the season and they're going to have to figure out who the best guy is to go into Big Ten play and who's got the best feel. And the one thing about Emmett that I always liked, not everybody was always on the Emmett Johnson train, but I was, is when Emmett got into games, Emmett just had a way of getting into a flow. And he could just do stuff in games. I don't know he showed up in practice. And you gotta have that quality. Emmett was a gamer. Like, he showed up in the games. And so one of these guys is probably a gamer, and we just haven't really seen it. And we'll find out once the games start who that guy is.
Sam, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being this is what you expect to happen, 10 being you're absolutely stunned, how surprised would you be if I told you that 3 weeks from now, or whatever the time frame ends up being there, that these would be your starters in the secondary outside of Andrew Marshall and Jeremiah Charles? Let's say Jameer Khan at nickel, Caleb Benning at safety, and Jason Shiggs at safety. How stunned would you be with that group?
Well, I would be a little surprised at Shiggs, but I watched as much tape as I could of all of these guys that were coming in from the portal. Towson's not the easiest one to find, but they played some games and they're on YouTube. I think I would be a little surprised because I get the sense that McDougal is going to be important as a communicator. But none of the other names would surprise me at all. I think Jameer Khan they're going to play him. I just don't know exactly what they're going to do. Wouldn't surprise me if it's Caleb. Caleb had a really good game in the bowl game and probably should have played more last year. But Deshaun was out there. And again, Rex, I think Butler really liked Rex. And Guthrie had good moments for sure. So I think, wouldn't surprise me if Caleb's out there either. So I don't know. My sense is it's likely to be McDougal, but it could be any of the guys that you just mentioned. That's why I mentioned Shigs, because I think he's in the mix. So, and then there, Charles could be the starter. It could be Victor Evans too. I don't think they're going. I think what they're going to do is they're going to give some guys some chances on drives. The question that becomes with long and lean corners, and Jeremiah Charles isn't that tall. He's like 6 foot, which isn't like super tall, but taller. The challenge with the tall guys is they're really good deep. They're long striders and they can erase ground deep. They're harder to get behind. And if you do get behind them, their length when they go up with that opposite hand and knock the ball away is pretty good. The question is in short area. Like those guys they gotta fire off and they gotta get going and then they gotta tackle. And so people remember Lamar Jackson, who was a very good, he was in the pros for I don't know how many years, 4 or 5. But Lamar was not a great come up and tackle you guy. Like you could complete passes in front of Lamar. Lamar was pretty good deep. He did get beat against Colorado that in 2019, but he was pretty good over the top and he got better as a tackler. But early in his career, you could throw one short of him and maybe break that tackle. And that's an area where the taller guys have to be able to close that gap and make tackles. And then on quick screens and stuff, sometimes those guys can get blocked because you get into their chest and you can kind of control them. So you have to, those are all things that taller corners got to do. Now the best corners in the NFL are all 6'1" and 6'2". Surtain's kid in Denver. Who's the other guy that's really, really good? He plays for Houston. Who is he? What's his name? Really good. He might be a legacy guy too. I can't remember his name, but
I think he is, if I remember.
But they're not short. They're 6'1", 6'2". Surtain's kid is tall. So the best ones are tall because it's hard to get over them.
Stingley.
And then the guy for the Chiefs none of them are short. So if you can get tall guys, that's great because it's hard to go over the top of them. They just have to be like I respect Malcolm Hartsoff. That's my point. Is that Malcolm was short, but Malcolm come up and get you, and he'd tackle you, and he would make plays. His vertical was 42 or whatever. So he made up for it in a lot of ways, and sometimes the tall guys can't always make up for it. So we'll see how it goes out there at the edge. But everything else you mentioned, I think, is possible for sure. And Benning is very possible. I'd be more surprised if Shigs was a starter.
Sam, just in terms of all the competition and everything that we had heard over the past, 48 hours coming from that Saturday press conference, it got my wheels turning a little bit. And I'm curious your thoughts. And maybe you need a little bit more time to think on this. But I know that we've had coaches polls and preseason media polls and stuff come out for the Big Ten. But in terms of Nebraska's starting 22, whatever you project that to be, whatever you think that would look like, without the coaching, just purely on players, where do you think Nebraska's just talent-wise starting 22 ranks amongst the rest of the Big Ten?
Probably 7th or 8th.
So higher than what you would think what their Big Ten preseason ranking was?
Yes, but that's been true before.
Right. And so the only reason I'm asking that is because then if you go a little bit further, and again, this is a little too maybe something I could follow up with you again next week on, but if you were to parlay that into maybe the top 50 players, where do you think Nebraska, does that change at all for you? Is their depth better than where their conference mates are, or do you kind of adjust that, or do you think it's about the same where their 22 would be?
I may want to chew on that more, but I would say at that point, the jury's a little bit more out. But I would say Nebraska's top 50 is about that too. I think. Now, here's the question you didn't ask. I'm not trying to critique your question because it's a very good question.
It's okay, Sam. I'm getting critiqued all morning.
Now, here's the other thing. Is that do they have, an elite player? In other words, if you give me the 22, I might pick Nebraska over Washington. But if you give me the 22, Washington has Damon Williams. Is Anthony Calandria equal to that? I actually think Maryland has some elite players. Now, I don't think they have they don't have as good of a 22 as Nebraska, but they've got 4 or 5 guys that are as good as anybody Nebraska's got. And that's part of it. Rutgers has got a couple guys. Now, Rutgers is the 22 is average and the 50 is weak. The issue with Rutgers is by the time you play them, the 50 matters, and they're always worn down. And probably not going to beat Nebraska because they're going to be beat up and worn down, and they just don't have the size. But, if you play Rutgers early in the season, they're 2 or 3 guys who are really good might beat you. And so you have to think about also the top-end guys. So here's what I would say. Last year, Mississippi had a guy named Princewell Umanyawan. I think he's at LSU. I don't know. He's getting sued or something. But that guy at Mississippi was really good. He never became that at Nebraska. You have to find a way to get your most talented recruits to simultaneously be your best players. And that has been a challenge for Nebraska. Okay, they have been really good at developing the low-level 3-star into the team's best player. See Emmett Johnson. Right? You've got to get Williams Nwaneri to play up to, he was a top 10 national recruit. Now, if you get everything out of that guy this year, he's an 8 to 10 sack, 12 to 15 tackle for loss kind of guy. If he's playing up to the potential that he came to college with in his 3rd year in college. The question is, can Nebraska get that? Can they get that from him? Can they get that from Carter Nelson, who was a top 100 recruit? I understand it takes time, and it does. There's no question. But if Rule and Holgerson are both talking about him, then now's the time. And it's not just for Carter. It's for the coaches. It's time to go get the talent out of the guy that you recruited. And that's not to say they didn't get it out of Dylan. But, Dylan has another level to go to. I'm sure Oregon desires to reach that level. They desire to extract that from him that he wasn't able to reach at Nebraska. And he just didn't get there, honestly. And everybody saw that interview last week. Now everybody's seen it. That's the best. That's the best Dylan's looked since probably, 11th grade in terms of his shape.
Mm-hmm.
So lo and behold, he went and did the thing that Nebraska wanted him to do, and he did it at Oregon. You could tell. I'm like, he looks great. That's the Dylan that, and he's like, I'm 220. And I'm like, that's what you needed to be at Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it there. You can tell that he reshaped his body, and whatever they told him, whether it was the mountains or the trees or the weight room or whatever, they got him to do the thing that it was hard for him to do here. That's my point, is that they've got to get the best players, the best recruits on that roster to maximize. And so the 22 and 50 are real, especially the 50. The 50 is actually more relevant than the 22 because the 22 will get hurt. And what really matters by November is the 50. So, Austin, that's a great question. And it's hard to answer at this moment because we don't know the 50 and we also don't know who's going to be healthy and hurt come November 1. But the 50 is what matters in the NFL. They'll tell you that the last however many guys on the roster determines whether the team's really good or not. And it also matters in college football. So the 50 is really important, and so are the 22. But then tell me who the 2 or 3 guys are that go make a play and change a game, and that's where Nebraska's got to get better.
Sam, you brought up some interesting things there with the top-end talent and sort of the difference makers for Nebraska. if I gave you three guys and you named two of them, which do you think is, or which would you be most confident in reaching their star potential, if we're going to use recruiting rankings here? And second separate question, which do you think would be the most impactful if they did reach their potential? I'm going to give you Elijah Pritchett, Williams Nwaneri, and Carter Nelson.
Well, Nwaneri. Yeah.
On both?
Yeah. He would be the most impactful. Well,
Okay.
I don't know on the first one. It's hard to know. Impact at left tackle in college is not the same in the NFL. In college, look, again, Calandria is a fine player. He's not Joe Burrow. So, like, what a left tackle protects in the NFL is just more important than almost always what you're protecting in college. So, like, the value of a left tackle is the protection they provide for your $700 million quarterback in the NFL. In college, I would argue it's better to go get the quarterback to the ground than it is to protect the guy. And tight end is tricky, right? So, like, what makes a good tight end in college, and Iowa's the best program in America at developing that, is a medley of skills, right? So, like, the ability to block and the ability to catch a pass in a sit down in a zone and catch a 6-yard pass on 4th and 4, and the ability to be a red zone threat, and the ability to go up the seam. And there's so many different things you can do. I think that the excellence of Brock Bowers spoiled a lot of people on what they're supposed to do when they get there. And, like, George is so good that Brock Bowers could just kind of be a receiver, and he's a great receiver, and he's great in the pros too. But it kind of spoiled people, like, well, this guy's going to be Brock Bowers. No, that's really not how it's done. The way Iowa does it is how you do it. So, like, Iowa develops a guy. George Kittle doesn't become George Kittle in college until his 4th year. Sam Laporta, I think it was his 3rd year. TJ Hawkinson, 4th year. Noah Fant was pretty good right away, but Noah Fant became even better by his 3rd year. So, like, all the guys that Iowa's developed, you look at that trajectory. And so what Carter Nelson's able to do by next season, if he could have 26 catches for 315 yards and 5 touchdowns, and he could be a good blocker, and you might kind of shrug because, well, Ja'Cory Barney had 700 yards received. No. Like, the value of a guy that goes 22 for 315 and 6 at tight end, that guy's going to catch, 70 for 1,010 in the NFL, which is what Kittle did. It's just a different game in college. So the value of what Nelson or a player at tight end can do is a little bit different. Nwaneri's value would be very clear. If he can come off the edge the way that Randy Gregory did and affect the game that way, then you have a very clear understanding of what he's doing, and it shifts how an offensive line has to function. So if they've got, again, Nebraska's fans and the media have become so used to guys not doing what they've been recruited to do that I think the expectations on Nwaneri are the lowest of those three, and they really should be high. I mean, he's a very talented guy, smart guy, understands the game. Now you just gotta get it out of him. And if he became a 10-sack guy, that would transform Nebraska's defense. Because every time you get a sack, you're buying a punt, basically.
Yeah.
And that'd be 10 punts that guy would put together. So, like, yeah, I think Pritchett is probably the one that's most likely to meet his potential, but the impact of a left tackle in college is a little, again, it's no joke, but it's muted. Like, again, there's guys that I don't know what kind of left tackle Baker Mayfield had. Maybe he had a good one, but Baker Mayfield was running around anyway, and so was Manziel, and quite frankly, so was Calandria. Like, Pritchett's value as a left tackle was probably higher when Raiola was there. Calandria is going to run all over the place, and he's going to be super mobile and super escapability kind of guy, and people are going to have a hell of a lot of fun watching him. I can tell you that right now. Like, he's going to be a lot of fun, and so much is on his shoulders to go and make plays. But that would be my answer to that question. Great question.
Sam, let me ask you one more here, and it is about Calandria, because I think that's a place we're all very confident about who the starter is going to be in that room at this point. But how important is it to you to still have competition in the quarterback room, even when the starter is fairly well decided? Like, can TJ Lateef continuing to get better help Calandria, even if he never comes close to passing him as the starter this year? Does that make sense?
It's enormously important because outside of 2024, Nebraska has used a backup quarterback in every season. So, yeah, it's crucial. It's crucial to have backup quarterbacks who are competent and who can play, and because each one of those games is just precious. So Lateef and Callahan are super important. I think Lateef is, now that the redshirt season doesn't matter, there is no redshirt season. There's nothing to protect there. So Lateef can just play. And I think their desire to see Lateef really maximize is high. And so I think they've put a lot into him. And there's some things about his game that are really appealing, and you want to build around those things. And then he has talked about the things that he needs to get better at, which I appreciate. This word he uses, mechanical. And I'm like, well, you're a pretty good athlete. I don't know how mechanical it looks, but I understand what he means. I understand what he's saying. And he just needs to be more instinctive when things break down. And I'm sure he watches Calandria and goes, man, that guy just seems to have a sixth sense. And he does. Calandria does. He's honed that, and I think he probably grew up with it. Probably because he's short. He's not real tall. So you got to find a way. You can't stand back there and survey because you can't look over all of your linemen. So I think it's enormously important that they develop that position. And I think they've got the best backup quarterback depth maybe in the Big Ten, other than Oregon. Other than Oregon. Like, Oregon's got the best backup quarterback in the league. By the way, weren't you a little surprised, now that he has no redshirt year, maybe you're not surprised, that he doesn't just want to play now? Like, do you feel like there's really anything he can learn from Dante Moore?
Sam, that's a good question. I take a bit of a skeptical view of this, but I also have a little reputation of giving Dylan a hard time. But
no, not you.
Legitimately, this is what I think happened: is the places that wanted him to be their starter immediately didn't match the quality of program he thought he belonged at. And so I don't know that he had a ton, because we were talking about like Syracuse and Louisville in terms of the places that we're kind of looking at, hey, I'm going to start right away there. I think I don't know that he would put it this way. It seemed like he thought those programs were below him. So he would rather sit for a year at Oregon than play at Syracuse, is the sense that I got. But that is also, I understand, probably the most cynical way to view the situation, even though I do think it could be accurate.
But you have to think too, like his availability. He was one of the first guys in, and he was one of the first names, and major names too, that probably would have had his pick of the litter if the litter wanted him, right? So it kind of turned out, I think, to what Ravi was saying, I think that has something to do with it, that he may not have had as many choices as he might have perceived when he first entered.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I have no idea what the sequence of events was as it relates to Miami, but I'm guessing Miami at the end of it probably would have, if he had still been available and Darian, they would have done that instead of this whole weird thing with Duke. But he was gone by then. He had already picked Oregon. My point is that, like, at the time he did that, he was assuming he would have a redshirt year anyway. But there's no redshirt year now.
Right.
Like, there's nothing to actually keep him from just being the starter. Now, I'm not saying that he's better than Dante Moore. What I will say is he's older than Dante Moore. He has more starts than Moore. And he didn't play at Oregon last year. And just so we're clear, Dante Moore was good last year. He wasn't the best quarterback in America.
I agree.
And he actually wasn't that much better than Kyle McCord was at Ohio State the year that Kyle McCord last played at Ohio State. And so when McCord comes to Nebraska, Dylan Raiola is like, well, I'm just going to beat that guy out. And McCord goes to Syracuse. I'm just wondering where that Dylan went. Like, there's no reason why look, they're going to start Dante Moore, and that's that. But why not make it interesting for the coaches? Why not say, you know what, Dylan came in here and he really had a good camp, and I don't know, like, it's interesting. Like, why not do that for those coaches as opposed to, I'm going to learn from Dante. I don't, what's he going to learn? The Oregon team? Like, I don't actually, and I'm not trying to be rude to Moore. I'm not sure there's that much for Iowa to learn from the guy. Whereas there was a lot for Dante Moore to learn from Dylan Gabriel, who was like 900 years old and in his 7th year of college. Right? Like when Dante Moore got there, he had started like 5 games as a true freshman. And he was playing behind somebody who was really old. He was like a coach. This is not that situation. And so, like, I'm surprised that Ryle was just like, you know what? I'm focused on trying to win the job. Maybe that would have rubbed people the wrong way. I don't know that it would have rubbed Dan Lanning the wrong way. He probably wants Dylan to think that way, but who knows? I think my point is, it's a complex situation there, because I think they took him with the sense of like, well, you know, we'll have our quarterback for next year. I don't know how that's going to go for him, not playing very much, sitting behind a guy who's the same age. I think they're probably friends and real contemporaries of one another. And so I don't know that it's going to be a mentor-mentee relationship. So it'll be interesting to watch. You know, it'll be really intriguing to watch how that all goes and whether they play him, because they can. And they're up by 30 and against Boise, and they will be, because Boise's not that good. Will he trot onto the field in the 3rd quarter, and will they talk about the cornfields and all the rest? I'll be curious. All right, enough Dylan talk. That's it. That's my last conversation about Dylan.
I was going to say, you might have just opened up the gas can, unfortunately.
Sam, I will just say the one thing that I really appreciate there, because I will die on this hill, is that Kyle McCord got a raw deal. That dude was pretty good at Ohio State.
He was.
I do not understand all of the hate. Like, they couldn't wait to get that guy out of town. And I was like, you replaced him with Will Howard? Like, Kyle McCord's a good quarterback. What are we doing?
He was pretty good. And, like, he was 26-8 in touchdown interception. And Moore was 30-10, you know, and I mean, that's good. Don't get me wrong. But some of these touchdown to interception ratios at some of these other places are, by the way, the touchdown to interception ratio at Nebraska last year was better than Oregon. Nebraska was 23-7, right? And Oregon was 30-10. Well, it might have been more than that. Moore was 30-10. It wasn't Oregon as a team. They probably had a better touchdown interception ratio than that. But like, it wasn't that he was so incredible. Like, he wasn't Fernando Mendoza. Mendoza was like 45-5 or something. Bo Nix was 45-4 like 3 years ago. And so, like, don't confuse him with Bo Nix. He's not that good. So I'll be curious to see, A, how that season goes. They have a very hard schedule. And B, whether there's a moment where Moore struggles. And in struggling, you know, they cut to a picture of, you know, Dylan, you know, grabbing his shoulder pads on the sidelines. And, they got Dylan Raiola over there. You know, like, I'll just be curious to see how that goes. Because he is a good enough player to play easily at Oregon. Like, let's be honest. He could stand out there and throw to open receivers.
Sam, great stuff. Great conversation. Appreciate it as always. We will talk to you next week.
All right.
Thank you, Sam. Appreciate that.
That is Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald, just letting off some just absolute missiles. I love it.
We are going to put a Dylan counter up here, and we're going to say days without mentioning Dylan Raiola. So I'm sick of it.
I will say I'm very passionate about the Kyle McCord thing.
Well, listen, you started to get all antsy.
I did.
You were like,
as soon as he
readjusting your shirt,
as soon as he said Kyle McCord, I was like, oh, my guy knows. Listen, I will die on the hill that Ohio State wins that national championship with Kyle McCord too. I will die on that hill. That dude was a good quarterback. And he got a raw deal just because he wasn't JT Barrett or whoever the phenom was before him.
It's true.
Kyle McCord's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
You leave him alone. We'll take a quick break here. Herd Out Sports Live coming up next.
lot of tears. Yeah, I broke down. Mac was in there when he told me, and he was very comforting too. And in that time, and yeah, I mean, I figured it was maybe a couple-month deal or something, but I didn't realize it was going to be that long. And so when he told me, I was just kind of heartbroken. And yeah, and so that was that, and went and got surgery like a week later.
How was that all to process, though? Because it happened so quickly, right? You realize, okay, this isn't just a month deal. This isn't a normal injury. This is something that's going to shut down my entire sophomore year.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was a lot to process. Like I said, it was a lot of tears right away. So I was very grateful that Mac was there. My parents were there, and all my support system was there to help me and be there for me, because I definitely needed it at that time, because it was a lot, like you said, to process in that moment.
Everyone's talking about peptides. You are doing it right. At NextGen Male Medical Clinic, peptide treatments are clinician guided, tailored to your goals, monitored for safety. Call today or visit nextgenmmc.com.
You're listening to Herd at Sports Live.
You know, a great weight room without great nutrition means nothing, right? So Kristen Coggin and her staff and the people at Flick that do our training table I think are really the benchmark in college athletics. And this offseason, we added 677 pounds of lean mass. Guys are not just getting stronger. I guess this kind of goes hand in hand, but they're building lean mass. At the same time, while they added those 677 pounds, 677 pounds of lean mass, they lost 188 pounds as a team of fat. This will be the biggest and leanest team we've had. So, great job by the players in the off season. They've been great in the weight room, great in training table, great in that classroom. Now they've got to take that mindset and transfer over to the football field. And again, we started on Wednesday.
Welcome back, Herd at Sports Live, presented by NextGen Male Medical.
What are
I'm
you
Ravi.
giggling about?
I'm sorry. I'm Ravi. That's Austin.
You want to share with the group?
I do.
What?
When Rule's going through, hey, we lost 188 pounds of fat, I was like, that's just from Dylan transferring.
Dude, come on. Days without zero. Knock it off.
I'm sorry.
That's so mean. That's not what he meant.
It was just right there.
He meant when they arrived in January.
Oh, my bad.
God.
Can you just leave him alone?
Hey, Shane, we had somebody in the chat ask what we did to you. Can we get a wellness check, Shane? Can you just say something so everybody knows you're alive?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm still over 5 foot, still looking pretty good. Still I missed my workouts over the weekend, so I probably got to double that up.
I'm sorry, is this your Hinge profile or what are you listing right now?
Long walks on the beach.
Shane, what's your perfect date?
Long walks on the beach, that kind of stuff. So
April 25th. It's not too hot. Not too cold.
Bang. Look at that. Mean Girls.
Wellness check is good.
Nice. Good. Thank you, Shane.
Thank you for asking. I know that was Kenny in the chat.
Yeah. So we want to make sure you knew Shane is alive. He's here. He's with us. We're good.
All you need is a light jacket, except for in the studio where it's
Okay,
freezing cold.
Effing freezing in here. No wonder someone wore long sleeves all the time in this chair. My God.
No. Okay. Hold on. I wear long sleeves all the time because DB turned the AC down to like 60 every day.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, he's going to change his thermometer whether I'm here or not, or thermostat.
Yeah.
So I started wearing long sleeves every day, even with 90 outside. It's never been as low as I just saw it in there. I don't know if DB like snuck in, turned it down, and then went to Lincoln. I don't know what happened.
Great prank on his part if that's the case.
Hilarious.
Very good. I hope he does that every day. That'd be very funny.
He lives like very close to here. He could. And it would actually not be that inconvenient for us, and we just think he was haunting us.
He did it on his way to Westside practice this morning. That would have been incredible. Incredible bit. And he had to get ice, too. So, he had to do both.
That's correct, Hot Danger. It's Miss Congeniality, not Mean Girls, the April 25th.
Oh, no, he asked me what the date was. That's right. Sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
That's all right. Yeah,
Sorry, Hot Danger.
Didn't want
I failed you. I got critiqued by a question from Sam. God, it's like the first day of school, but it's worse.
Getting bullied.
Someone's going to stuff me in a locker.
No, give our friends over at Next Gen Male Medical a call, 402-614-9700. You may not put on 600 pounds of lean muscle and lose 200 pounds of fat like the football team did, but you can reshape your body. You can lose weight. You can add some muscle. Maybe you just need a little pep in your step, get a little testosterone in there. They will figure out what's going on with you and come up with the best plan. It's not just writing a prescription and sending you on your way. They will figure out what is best for you. And maybe if you had a long weekend like us at the Pinnacle Bank Championship,
you had a long weekend.
Need a little IV. Maybe you need a little B12 shot, the Zeus shot. They can help you out there as well, and they will take great care of you. So 402-614-9700. I figured out. Speaking of Pinnacle Bank Championship,
yes, I am doing pretty good. I wasn't stuffed in a locker. Wasn't duct taped to a telephone pole or anything like that. I'm good.
That's Shane. He's alive.
Thank you, Shane.
I figured out maybe part of the reason that my voice is a little scratchy. Allergies were pretty bad out at the golf course. A lot of grass.
Allergies. Yes, yeah.
Being out there.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is I was the designated birdie beer yeller. So every time they rang the bell, I go, birdie beer.
Birdie beer.
Just so everybody knew what was going on. I'm just trying to help out there, perform my public service. So
one of my favorite bits from the weekend, and unfortunately, David and I didn't get to do this on Saturday because play was suspended. Everybody was, walking around, all that stuff.
Pretty big storm.
On Friday, we went around and asked each Herd at Sports employee how much they had posted that day. The resounding answer was mainly zero. You'd be shocked to find out. Now, it was very funny then Saturday because we were going to follow it up and just ask, hey, how many drinks have you had? Oh, how crazy. It'd be like, oh, I've had 15 drinks. Oh, what a big day. And then we'd be like, how much content did you post today? Oh, I don't know.
To be fair, that's not my job.
It's not. That's why it's funnier with you.
Yeah, you came up, you're like, how many pieces of content have you posted today? I was like, 0. I don't even know how to do that.
You have the logins, don't you?
Yeah, I can see it. I don't know how to post it.
You're right.
How many gooses got loose?
Yeah, how many goose did you lose?
So I didn't.
I only had 2 the whole weekend. I'm proud of myself.
I didn't drink that much. I had maybe like 2 to 3 drinks a day. So
yeah.
And I'm out. You're out there for several hours, so it was not aggressive. I will say, I became a very big Fresca fan.
Yeah, you were big on the Fresca.
It was pretty hot. I needed something a little more refreshing than the Diet Coke. So I remembered, shout out to my guy Matt D. Marinas. The first time I ever had a Fresca was in a Creighton press room or media room, and they were out of Diet Coke, and he's like, "We'll have a Fresca, it'll be fine." And I'm like, "Are those sugar free?" And I go, and he goes, "Yeah, they're sugar free." I was like, "All right," so we knocked out the Fresca. It was pretty good. And I recalled this, and I go, you know what? We're going to give Fresca another go. and it was delicious. I was having a great time. I might be getting some Fresca in my
Fresca
life.
boy. Fresca.
Big Fresca guy.
That's fair. I've never had a Fresca.
They're delicious.
I stay away from the LaCroix. I stay away from all that sort of stuff. I don't like.
Not even in the same neighborhood as a LaCroix.
I don't like something that has like the essence of flavor. I want something that actually has it.
The whisper of strawberry.
Fresca actually has flavor. This is not like a seltzer. It's not a.
Is it like a ginger beer? What is this?
No,
what does
it's
it
just
taste
like it's like a different version of sort of your citrus soda. Like it's like think Sprite more than LaCroix. Like it's not.
You're not convincing me.
Like if you want like it's like if Sprite and Mountain Dew had a baby, you were kind of in the neighborhood of a Fresca. We're not talking about.
I heard you mention the nectar of the gods. What was that?
You all right over there?
Oh. Okay. All right. Sorry, I did not catch the Mountain Pew reference. My bad.
Yeah. No.
7-Up is the elite of those, by the way.
Yeah. But it's in. It's.
It is. Of the Sprite and the Fresca.
Sorry.
Take 7-Up.
Can we be adults? Can I say what I was going to say?
Yeah.
Because somehow sitting in this chair, it was going to come back to me. I was going to say, you could solo cam me on this if you wanted to, Rico. I was going to say, Shane, you seem like a squirt guy. But I thought that was inappropriate. So I decided not to, all right? That's why I didn't say it. I didn't say that.
Except for you kind of just did.
No, I didn't.
So you know the funny thing about all those citrus lemon lime sodas? So like Sierra Mist changed its name to Starry, which is an idiotic name. I don't even know what that means. Do you know why that happened?
I know why, but I don't want to tell you why I know why.
We shouldn't bring that up.
Why not?
Brandon, how do you know about that?
So Fresca.
Interesting. No, what happened? Why is
For those
Sierra
that
Mist?
don't know, there was an adult film star that took the name Sierra Mist, and apparently Pepsi had let the copyright on their soda name lapse, and so she won the court case.
Good for her.
And so they had to change their name because they lost it to a porn star. Like that's got to be the
Imagine like, oh, what's that drink called again? You're like, oh, Sierra Mist. You go to Google and you're like, that's not.
Hold up.
Safe search.
I do miss,
And now it's called Starry.
much like the chat saying, I do miss the original Sierra Mist. That was a fun one.
See, Matt is a big Sierra Mist fan. I don't know if he means the drink or the movies, but here we are.
Now, although I didn't drink this weekend, heavily, I should say,
I'll say a little
compared
bit.
to years past, this is actually kind of the end of my timeline for the rest of the kind of calendar year, at least, that I don't really engage in a whole lot of drinking because we've got Friday Night Football coming up. Saturday, especially with the Hail Varsity postgame and stuff, I found it very difficult to try to drink and do Hail Varsity postgame at the same juncture. It became much more difficult. Now, notably, the USC game was our best performance, but
local man finds hard to drink and do his job at the same time. That sounds like an Onion headline if I've ever heard one.
Not what I said.
No, it is what you said.
No, Hail Varsity postgame was like
Austin just.
The Sunday my job, the entire ice cream Sunday that is my job, does not involve Hail Varsity postgame. I always thought, oh, look at how the fun we're having out here. But no, apparently, you can't have fun on Saturday. Don't do anything enjoyable, Austin. Knock it off.
Austin just discovered that if he has alcohol in his system, notably harder to do his job.
I don't like this. This is ridiculous. We used
Just
to be
discovered that. I'm so proud of you.
We used to be friends.
Apparently, whoever sits in that chair is just going to get bullied.
Bullshit is what this is. I'll tell you that. It's insane. I don't know what happened. I was yucking it up with you guys on Friday morning. We were all pointing fingers. Oh, look at DB making euphemisms all the time. God, I hate this.
Wyatt, come on, man. Come on, brother.
I'm trying not to look at the chat. Hell yeah, Wyatt. Glad you're still with us. Appreciate that. No, what I was going to say was...
So do we need a Ravi for our podcast listeners? Would you like to
Ravi,
explain?
please, yes. Thank you. Shane, great producing, Shane.
Agent Wyatt says, once opened a Sierra Mist and explodes all over my chest to channel my inner Nick Baugh.
I think you're missing some of it.
There is some water droplet emojis after that.
Okay, thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
That's
No, what I was going to say is that Dr. Fiance was on an overnight last night.
Okay.
So I was by myself. I mowed the lawn, did a bunch of like trad wife activities, like grocery shopped and meal prepped, all that sort of stuff. And then I thought to myself, big day tomorrow. I can't drink because I need to do my job, Rico.
Apparently.
So I said,
it's frowned upon in this establishment.
So I said, what if I just do a big back activity? And I went on a terror spree of how much fast food I could order and eat in the same 3-hour window.
Hell yeah.
So I had some Little Caesars. I had some Crazy Bread on top of that. I got a Whopper. Let's see. I had some taco meat from home. It was a good day. It was good. I think I consumed about 5,000 calories of food in like a 4-hour window. It was pretty elite.
You got those engagement photos done, and you're just like letting myself go.
I didn't see a carb for 10 days. Everything looked good to me.
Daniel, you also are saying that the substation thing isn't true either, and yet all of my players are dead on the 49ers.
And again, notably, I said it Friday, but notably, the Panthers played very well when they got away from the substation in Ohio. Now, Haynes King, his hamstring was already pre-hurt. That's probably what happened.
I'm just saying, compromised already. I'm just saying.
Matt says they didn't carry Squirt in grocery stores here in Texas until me and a couple other Midwesterners suggested. Oh, interesting. Is Matt's caps lock broke? Is that why he's shouting?
Maybe he's just very
passionate about Squirt. Yeah. Much like Shane.
Well, you mispronounced Texas.
Oh, Texas.
What?
That's what he said. He said Texas.
Oh, he did say Texas in there. I thought Shane was just being weird.
Great prank. It's unique. New one.
I appreciate
that. Careful, Austin. As a trad wife, I do have to stay. That is fair. That's a good point. I do. This is what's so funny about this is it's not like I would get in trouble necessarily, but I always have that thought to myself, I can't let anyone know what I did, so I hide the evidence. And so I had to bury the pizza box in our cardboard. No one's finding this. No one's gonna find it.
You just gotta put it in the trash.
Yeah.
Put stuff over it.
Oh, you've never done that?
You can't be disappointed in your big back activities.
No, I'm not disappointed.
No, I'm
proud of myself.
You can't hide yourself.
Well, no, I just don't want other people to find it. I'm not disappointed in myself. I just said it out loud in front of all these people.
I'll put it on top of the trash can.
You want me to put it on top of the trash can?
What's up?
Let everyone know. You gotta flex to your neighbors.
Leave it on the counter and say, "What's up?"
Bang.
Man of the house.
Yeah.
I make my own decisions. Listen, you may tell me what's for dinner, but at least I'm cooking it. That's right.
Look, I'm not doing this because you told me to. I'm doing it because I decided before you told me.
That's right.
Apparently, a lot of people are telling me that it was just a regular person, not an adult film star. But I saw it on a TikTok, so I don't know. It has to be true.
Okay, well, during the break, before we get Sean Callahan, I'm going to Google Sierra Mist, and we're going to find out what's right.
There we go. Sean Callahan coming up next here from Husker Online. It's Herd Out Sports Live. If losing weight is harder than you expected, it's not just about willpower. At Next Gen Male Medical Clinic, we build a supervised plan around your body, not someone else's. Schedule a visit at nextgenmmc.com. Let's get you moving forward.
Staff-wise, obviously you guys know all the staff moves we've made. They've done a great job, worked really hard. Gus Felder did a great job for us for several years as Director of Player Development. Had a chance to fulfill his dream of being an athletic director. So excited to hire Damon Benning. Will take that role on. I think now more than ever, having someone who's a mentor to players. Obviously, having played here, gone on to the next level, been around the program for a long time in a lot of ways, covering it, talking about it, being around it, being the parent of a player, it can obviously be a great resource in that area. But, when I think about people who have the right vision, have the right passion for kids and for sports and for this program, I couldn't think of anyone better than Damon. So excited to welcome him.
You're listening to Herd at Sports Live.
Nah, there's been no adjustment. There's a change, but there's really no adjustment because, we did so much that there were games last year where or even with Tony and them where we were in 4 down, 60 to 70% of the time. I mean, not all the time, but there were times. And, we had the players to do it. So it felt like it was way better to have Cam Lenhart or Williams Nwaneri or Jordan Ochoa or whomever line up, head up on the tight end or outside instead of playing a 4-eye inside the tackle, right? Just the bodies that we had developed. And I think good coaches say to themselves, what's the best scheme fit for the players we have, not, hey, I want to do this because it's what I do. And so the guys have picked it up and run with it.
Welcome back, Herd at Sports Live, presented by Next Gen Male Medical. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Herd at Sports HQ. We are joined now by Sean Callahan from Husker Online. Sean, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, guys. Just in the thick of it, fall camp season, guys. It's a great time of year.
Sean, are you lounging it today? No office desk, nothing like that?
No, well, my kids are home in the morning, and I have a show at 11:30, so I am just sitting in a chair, and I've got my versatile DJI mic on. I mean, these you can do a show anywhere with these things.
Sean, we appreciate you joining us. I will say I apologize for the switch up on co-host. When we scheduled you, Damon, we thought he still worked here. So,
knowing Damon, did you guys find out at the press conference? Was that how you, or did you get a little heads up?
I had about 24 hours notice on that, so it happened pretty fast once things got rolling. But no, we're very happy for DB. I think it's going to be a great role for him. But no, it's exciting. It's cool to see him get such a great opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with Damon on Big Red Wrap Up for a number of years, and obviously the high school state football finals and the Shrine Bowls. I mean, we've probably broadcasted. I mean, countless. I can't. I mean, 10 plus 15 years of doing high school football finals with him, and it won't be the same. He's been a fixture in those roles, and obviously the local high school coaching scene with what he's done at Omaha Burke, Omaha Northwest, obviously Omaha North, and then most recently at Westside. He's been so involved in that scene, and to give all that up, I mean, it tells you how much he loves Nebraska.
Yeah,
Sean, on that same note too, just with Damon's new role, just outside of Damon being everything that you just described, why is that role so important for Nebraska? And then that second part is why is Damon the right fit to be able to be that player development guy?
Yeah, I mean, Gus Felder played at Penn State, had the role before, was a first round, I think he was a first round pick or high round draft pick for the Nittany Lions when he played there, and was kind of connected to Matt Rule, moved on to the high school athletic director job. But, you're a guy that is just there for the players, in the locker room, kind of organizing things behind the scenes, doing things for the players kind of as a support arm. And who know better than Damon right now, with obviously a son in the program, but played at Nebraska, understands the program, has the relationships with the former players, and all the other things you kind of need to do behind the scenes. So I think the hardest part, I mean, I don't know if he's going to be on the field coaching at all, but not being able to be involved in coaching, I'm sure will be a big change for Damon, just with what he's been used to doing But this is a great opportunity for him to get a job at Nebraska. As you know, it's very difficult to break in and get an opportunity at Nebraska. There's a lot of guys that would love a chance, and he's going to get his opportunity here with this role.
Sean, kind of on that same note too, I thought it was interesting that over the course of that press conference, we heard it a couple of times, and I think Rule was asked directly just the high school experience and having coaches or support staff that have the experience, the high school level, his appreciation for that. Why is that so critical to have people on the staff that have that perspective, that don't come just from college or professional ranks, that start from a player's beginning in their football careers and then translate them into their college tenure?
Right. You look at Matt Rule and his history. You go back to hiring Joey McGuire. He goes to Baylor, and he gets Joey McGuire to leave one of the top high schools in Texas to become an assistant coach for him. You go back to his time at Temple. He hired Terry Smith, who's now one of the top assistants at Penn State for Matt Campbell. But Terry was a renowned high school coach. And here at Nebraska, he's hired Jamar Mosey, who was a top high school coach in Kansas City, and now is in a role at Nebraska. So that has been what Rule has liked to do wherever he's gone. And I think his thought is these high school coaches, they're more equipped to handle things, because you deal, I mean, it's not just football. I mean, there's so many things you deal with kids when they're 15, 16, even 14 when they start high school, that maybe a college guy that doesn't have that experience is not used to. So I just think the versatility some of those guys have to bring from, probably doing equipment work, laundry, lining the fields, you name it. High school coaches, as we know, do about everything possible. So when they get to college, it's almost easy for them because they don't have to worry about all the things they can do, but they're still very skilled in a lot of areas. And Damon's obviously had that with youth football coaching and obviously being involved in the high school ranks. So he understands it on both ends, and he played at Nebraska. So he has a son there. So he brings a lot of versatility on both ends of it.
Sean, there's a really interesting kind of dynamic at play here, I think, as you talk about the high school coaches and how they maybe relate to the players, especially the ones coming in a little bit better. Because I think a lot of times now, especially in the last few years, every time we talk about recruiting, and this is your world, right? Like we hear NIL and what's the best offer and all these things. But for the most part, and correct me if I'm wrong here, it seems like at the top end of things, the money is in the neighborhood, right? Like the top end guys, whether you're going to Georgia, LSU, whatever, like we're all in dollar-wise sort of in the neighborhood. Like it seems like we sort of undervalue the relational part of this with bringing in guys from high school that have really good relationships with guys, or bringing in guys like DB that have really good relationship guys. Like, is that something you actively see when you're kind of seeing guys make these decisions where it's like, hey, yeah, I'm going to get in this range of money kind of regardless of where I go? Who do I just like being around the most?
Yeah, and you make a good point. The money at a certain level is pretty similar. I mean, it might be $50,000 more or something in that regard, which is a lot of money. Mm-hmm. But, when you're making a decision, you're like, what, am I going to go to this school that I don't really have the same feel for $50,000 more, or I'm going to go to the one that I have the relationships with. I like the campus. I like the coaches and whatnot. So, yeah, that is an important aspect of it. And, this NIL world has changed so much year after year after year. And I mean, I think now we're morphing more to, there's kind of the signing bonus money where these recruits get their signing bonus. And then there's the retention pool of money where players are going to be paid more on how much they play and what their roles are. So, you have to, the days of just paying every player on a roster a healthy salary that's not playing, I don't think we're going to see that, because I don't think you can't really build a championship roster paying a lot of players that aren't playing. So I do think the relationships matter. You want guys that want to be there. But yeah, the money side of the game continues to change, and I think it's going to keep changing, especially if the Protect College Sports Act goes through. And by this time next year, we're probably looking at those rules.
Sean, how valuable is, like what Ravi was asking, just the coaching cohesion, and not just at Nebraska, but just in college football in general, especially where we are right now? Because what Ravi just said, I think is very interesting, that you can bring in, and this happened a little bit last year to my understanding, or at least how I perceived it, that you can bring in talented coaches or coaches that have a certain level of experience, but if the coaching staff isn't agreeing or working well together, that can cause a lot of maybe confusion is the easiest term to say it, but I'm sure there's a lot of different ways to put that. So where do you put how a coaching staff just kind of fits together, or how they work together, or how they are just familiar with each other? How do you value that?
Yeah, it's really important. I mean, I look at some failed places in the past, not Nebraska necessarily, but other schools, where you try to kind of hire like an all-star staff of coaches, big name guys, and generally like when fans on like message boards and social media look at coaches, they always would go back to their recruiting history. Who have they recruited? Are they good recruiters? Then who have they put to the NFL? And people try to build these all-star staffs of big names, and it can work, but we've seen those fail miserably because maybe that staff, as you said, doesn't have the connection and the cohesion. I mean, you look at Iowa and how they do it. I mean, Kirk Ferentz has had the same base, the same kind of key staff members, and they've done it their way. And they obviously have a great plan and great cohesion, and they pump out as many NFL players as a program of their level, a program that consistently probably wins 8 or 9 every year, and they're high round draft picks. So I do think you have to have a plan and all your coaches on the same page. We're seeing it with Indiana, how Zignetti's doing it with this thing. But what I like about what Matt Rule did at the Rob Orich hire, for example, Orich actually has guys here that have worked with him. Roy Manning came from San Diego State. Tyler Yelk has worked with him before. Corey Brown has worked with Orich before. Orich then will kind of lead the linebacker room with Dvorak working with him in that role. Addison Williams was the one mainstay that stayed on board. And then even Dave Tollefson has some connection to some of those guys from Iowa Western and even the NFL with him and Roy Manning. So I like that because you couldn't really say that about the John Butler staff. They didn't really have the cohesion and the connection. And even when Tony White came to Nebraska, he didn't bring any true assistants with him that worked with him at Syracuse in terms of the main full-time roles. He had a couple like graduate assistants come with him. But I think that's why this new defensive staff will be built a lot differently. And you hope that the cohesion and the familiarity will be a big difference.
Sean, speaking of cohesiveness, you mentioned the coaching staff and bringing some guys with him. Obviously, brought a couple players as well with Chambliss and McDougal at those second and third levels. As we kind of get through fall camp, how much do you think that will impact not just the successfulness of the defense, but maybe even just who gets early playing time as they sort of figure out what that defense looks like for Nebraska?
It's huge. I mean, you look at previous transitions here with defensive coordinators. They didn't really have players. I think John Butler had no players, obviously, and then Tony White had one linebacker come that really wasn't a player in the system, where you could actually make the argument there's 3 players that have played for Orich beside, McDougal and Chambliss, but Andrew Marshall was recruited and played at Idaho for Orich. So I do think you've got that element as well. And you have the leading tackler from San Diego State, arguably one of their best secondary players in McDougal, and then a veteran in Marshall who has some knowledge of it. So I do think it is going to make a difference having just some players on the field, three of your 11 starters probably that have actually played in the system, that know the coaches and whatnot.
Sean, I'm curious here. We were talking earlier kind of about Matt Rule and his press conference. Obviously, we got the first remarks from him since fall camp opened. Did anything stick out to you in terms either of the content or the tone of Rule's message?
I mean, the biggest thing is he continues to downplay the transition to the defense, the 4-2-5, that, they've played enough 4-man front. They actually started to run the 4-2-5 for the bowl game, and that didn't go great, as we know. But like, he is not going to overplay like, hey, we're moving to a new scheme, because you go back to December. What was the comment that really upset him when he was asked if he was going under a program reset? And he refuses to say we're resetting and we're rebuilding with what they're doing. I think he wants to make it clear on defense. No, we were a 4-man front most of the time a year ago as well. We're going to be now fully in that, but I think he does not want that narrative out there that, hey, we're rebuilding or resetting with a new scheme and this and that this is a transition, a simple transition in what they're doing.
Sean, in that same sense too, is this a chance that under Rule's tenure so far at Nebraska that this is maybe Nebraska's best offseason coming into fall camp, where they have their schemes under their belt? Just with what he's saying about the defensive scheme and Dana Holgorsen now having more time, obviously, even with the new players, is there a chance that this is maybe the best scheme fits that everybody's kind of understanding already coming into fall camp?
It's hard to say. I mean, I still think year 2 with Tony White, they were in pretty good shape on defense. I mean, you go back to when Ty and Nash were playing and Jamari Butler. I mean, they held Ohio State and Columbus, who won the national title that year, to 1 rushing first down the entire game. So, they were pretty far along on that unit. That team easily should have and probably could have won more than 7 games. Just like last year's team probably should have won more than 7 games. So, yeah, can you get the little tweaks that make the difference? And as we know now, with this new Big Ten, taking that jump from 7 to 8 to 9 is massive. It doesn't sound like much, but it is massive. I mean, Iowa is like a 9-win team, and they beat Vanderbilt, who was a borderline playoff team last year, in a bowl game. And that's a big jump. And Iowa handled Nebraska the game before that. So I think for Nebraska, how do they find themselves to make that jump as a program? But yeah, I do think they like where they're at. They like this roster. 14 returning starters, which is great. But then the starters you've lost, you've replaced them with really good veteran starters from the transfer portal, 3 on the offensive line, 1 at quarterback. You go down the line of different guys they've brought in on defense at linebacker, et cetera. So I really do like what they've done to kind of backfill what they've lost, but at the same time, they do return a lot of experience.
Sean, to your point of making that jump from 7 to 8 to 9 wins, I think a lot of people would say you've got to have some of these guys step up into versions of themselves that we haven't necessarily seen yet. As you look up and down the roster, who do you look at, not necessarily to make an Emmett Johnson jump, right? That's pretty dramatic from being a, rotational running back into an All-American. But who do you look at and say, hey, this is a guy that I think has an opportunity to either move from a backup role or a starter role into, hey, maybe I'm a second team All Big Ten or somebody that can be relied on to be a difference maker?
Well, there's 2 that jump out immediately, and it shouldn't be a surprise because they're both former 5-stars. Elijah Pritchett at left tackle and Williams Nwaneri at defensive end. I mean, they are paying those guys, and they need them to play at a high level. And if your left tackle can protect, your offense is going to look a lot better. If your edge rusher can get to a quarterback without a blitz on a 4-man rush, your defense is going to be a lot better. So I think those are the 2 that immediately jump out to me. Ja'Cory Barney is another. I feel like after the Michigan game, teams kind of adjusted to him and Dylan's tendencies to go to him. And you saw him kind of be minimized the rest of the way. But if you go back and study the first 4 or 5 games of the year, Ja'Cory Barney was elite. He was trending to be, an All Big Ten second team, maybe. I always hesitate to say All Big Ten first team now because there's 18 teams in this league, and if you're an All Big Ten first teamer now, you are an All-American. I mean, it's that obviously that's how good this conference is, and when there's 18 teams, a little bit different than the Big 8 when there was only 8 and only 2 to 3 were legit programs. Where in the Big Ten, there's 18 and there's 7, 8, 9 pretty legit programs right now in the conference.
Sean, just to follow up exactly what you were saying there, if maybe you use your verbiage, if it's an all first team Big Ten or an All-American on either of that, which position, or I'll even say which player, if they are a first team All Big Ten or All-American, which one has the bigger impact for Nebraska's win or loss? If Ja'Cory Barney is a first team All Big Ten receiver, or if Andrew Marshall is a first team All Big Ten corner?
I would say Ja'Cory Barney. I think if he can give them some spark and big play, that will be the difference, because late in the year, the big play for the passing game really went away, especially when Dylan Raiola got hurt. The number of passes Nebraska completed that traveled 10, or I think it was when Latif was the quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, they might have only completed 6 passes the rest of the year that traveled more than 10 yards down the field. So they've got to get better at getting the ball down the field when they need to, because the underneath stuff, the little bubble screens, the Big Ten defenses, especially in November, are too good to rely on that as just your passing game. So if Barney can get down the field, do more things out of that slot role, I do think Calandria in this offense could be pretty good.
Sean, as we move through the rest of fall camp, who's somebody you're thinking about that you'd love to hear from, whether a coach or a player, that you just want to hear a little bit about how fall camp is going for them?
Ooh, man, that's a good question. I mean, I guess it would be interesting to hear from Mekhi Nelson, just with what he's gone through this summer and where he's at, and just kind of get a read on him. And I'm not sure if we'll interview him or not. So that's an interesting one to me, just where he's at in that running back battle, and obviously what he dealt with back in July. I mean, there's a lot there to unpack at this point. But on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, there's a lot of guys, I mean, that kind of are mysteries. Like, we think Owen Stoudemire and we think Jasir Whittington are going to be contributors. You hope Tyson Terry can get himself up to that level, because they're going to need that defensive line group in the interior to produce. Riley Van Poppel, as we know, is one of them. But that is a group for this season to even have a shot to go beyond 6-7 wins, in my opinion. They need that interior D-line group to really produce.
Is there a freshman? I can't even say redshirt freshman anymore. Can we? Is it? Did we decide? Did they just say fifth-year senior? I don't even know. Like, how does that
Second-year
work?
players? I don't know how to.
Do we need a middle term between sophomore and junior? Like, I don't know what we figured out there. Besides the point, is there a freshman or maybe a sophomore that didn't see a lot of playing time last year that you think could have a significant impact this upcoming season, or one that maybe is trending a little bit more in fall camp than you anticipated?
Well, Luke Sorensen at tight end is a true freshman. He's going to play, I think, and be in the rotation. Danny Odom, we think is going to contend. But that said, Jeremiah Charles has had a really, really good offseason, and it sounds like he might have the leg up to be the other corner at this point. So that's a position battle, I think, still worth watching to kind of see how that plays out. But Danny Odom was one of their higher paid guys in the recruiting class. Claude Mpuma was one of their higher paid guys, and he's a left tackle. So you hope that Mpuma can get some playing time in those early games. I think Mosey, we sometimes forget about him, but he could very well be the starting running back. When you look at Isaiah Mosey, he's up to about 205, 210. He's really transformed himself into a running back body. He was a receiver a year ago at this time. So that's another name I think I'm really intrigued just to see what he brings to the table.
Sean, I don't forget about Mosey. That's my guy. I'm obsessed with Mosey. Like, I think he's going to be really, really good. So I think I'm just kudos to you for agreeing with me, I guess.
Sipple always kind of has discounted him for some. Sipple's a big Mekhi Nelson fan. Damon was a big Mekhi Nelson fan, obviously.
Yes.
And so Sipple was as well. And he always just like looked at Mosey as a receiver. And I'm like, look, man, look at the gains he's made. I mean, he's really transformed himself here over the offseason.
Do you think at running back specifically, Nebraska is closer to having situational backs where it's Nelson on first and second down and third down is Mosey, or it's Rule and short yardage, or whatever that case is? Do you think they're closer to that, or is it a true rotation where each running back can fill in the gaps wherever they're needed to?
Yeah, it's a great question because, you got to look at every game as probably 35 to maybe 40 running back carries tops.
Yeah, ideally, yeah.
And a year ago, they were blessed that Emmett Johnson could take like 90% of those carries. They don't have that this year. So you need to find probably 3 guys that can handle those 35 to 40 touches. And I guess I include the passing game in there as well. But your average Big Ten football game for Nebraska is about 60 to 65 snaps. And 35 to 40 of those touches are going to probably go to the running back. So you have to divide that up where one guy is capable to take 20 and then the other 2 can kind of fill the other spots in the game. But who is that guy? That is a huge question. What I do like is the schedule. You've got the 3 games with Ohio, Bowling Green, and North Dakota, where ideally you're going to be able to play some guys and develop that room before you get into that Big Ten road trip where you have to go to Michigan State, then Maryland comes to Lincoln. But you need to figure it out, I think, over the first 3 weeks, what that's going to look like with that running back room. And hopefully you can get a number of guys repetitions and don't have to really, rely a ton you're going to throw it, but I think it's way more important to establish the running game in the first 3 weeks than it is necessarily all the passing elements.
How many of those rushing attempts like that you just mentioned from that number do you attribute to quarterback now with the either Latif or obviously Calandria if he becomes a starter and is officially announced?
Yeah, I mean, there's two ways to look at it because you're going to have design run calls. How many of those will you be calling? And then you're going to have the scramble runs, which are pass plays that turn into runs. So what will the balance be between the scramble play and the design run call? And I still think you pick and choose those design run calls, like maybe 2 to 3 times a game where it's a QB sprint and take off and go. But yeah, it's the scramble element where it is a pass call, where if it's nothing is there or the safeties are playing deep, that's where Calandria, you hope, can pick up that 3rd and 8 with his legs, where they didn't have that luxury. And college football is so much about that. Like, do you have the dual threat guy that can pick up the first down? And if it's not open down the field, and Raiola just was not capable to consistently make that type of run to get like 3rd and 8 yardage on the ground.
That is Sean Callahan from Husker Online, part of the On3 network. You can find all of his work at Husker Online. Sean, appreciate the time as always. Let's talk again soon.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Take care.
Thanks, Sean.
That is Sean Callahan from Husker Online. I don't know if this is a hot take. I am a little hesitant on the McDougal of it all at safety.
Why is that? Just in terms of already being an assumed starter?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe I'm reading too much into this. We've seen a lot of Owen Chambliss already.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's press availability, he's been very present. Haven't seen a lot of Dwayne McDougal.
Okay.
I don't know if that's something. I don't know if that's nothing.
Have we heard a lot of the defensive backs?
No,
Jameer Khan.
We've seen Jameer Khan.
Andrew Marshall's at Big Ten Media Days.
I'm trying to think. We've heard out from other.
Did we get Donovan?
Yeah, we got Donovan. I think on
Tuesday
the
last
first
week. Yeah,
Monday or Tuesday
right.
last week, whenever they opened camp. To me, it's been noticeable that one of the San Diego State transfers has been very present. The other one has not. Maybe it's something, maybe it's nothing, but I wouldn't be stunned if we're sitting here in 3 weeks and we're talking about other players besides McDougal starting at safety. I also think part of it is, this isn't necessarily saying anything bad about McDougal. I think part of it's the competition in that room, as we talked about earlier.
Yeah, because we haven't heard from Caleb, Rex, any of those guys either yet. And of course, I mean, we did mention Jameer. That's one of them. But yeah, I
think Jameer's going to play. I don't know where, kind of like Sam intimated. I don't know if it's going to be nickel. I don't know if it's going to be one of the safety spots. I think Jameer is going to play a lot, so I think they're more comfortable with that, and I think he's got some positional versatility. But you're right. Outside of that, we haven't heard from McDougal. We haven't heard from Caleb. We haven't heard from Rex Guthrie. I don't think Justin Rhett's going to be in that mix, but we haven't heard from Jason Shiggs. We haven't heard from a lot of these guys that are sort of up for position battles here. I don't know if that's coincidence. I don't know if that's just me reading too much into something, but I do think it's very noticeable that one guy that has familiarity with Rob Orich from last year at San Diego State has been, I think, pretty present in terms of, I think we've heard from Owen Chambliss as much as we have any defensive player.
So these are the players that were available last week. This is from at least the Hail Varsity YouTube that was uploaded.
Okay.
Cam Lanhart, TJ Latif, Anthony Calandria, Jameer Khan, Owen Chambliss, Ja'Cory Barney, Riley Van Poppel, and Isaiah Hunter, Paul Mubenga.
Yeah, so
and then roll on Saturday.
A mix of some offensive and defensive guys. Again, maybe I'm reading too much into this. I don't think we heard.
Oh, and Donovan Jones.
I don't think we heard from McDougal in the spring either, and we did hear from Chambliss in the spring.
I think McDougal did a Husker Radio Network sit down, and I think that's the only thing that we've heard.
Yeah,
but it was as he came in.
Yeah.
I think he did it along with Chambliss or something like that.
I don't think we got any press availability during the spring from McDougal, if I'm recalling correctly. Maybe it's something, maybe it's nothing. Maybe that's just not his cup of tea, and I don't know. But I think it's been very interesting that I feel like we've seen a lot of Owen Chambliss and not Dwayne McDougal.
Is that a more important position battle for a starter at
safety?
Safety, defensive back, whatever you want to call it, than running back?
I would say yes, because I'm comfortable with sort of whoever they play at running back.
I'm with you. Yeah, I agree.
like all those guys.
Dwayne had a press conference back in March.
Okay, so he did have availability back in March. Shout out Rico. Okay. I think I'm fine with Rule, Nelson, or Mosey. Any of those guys start, I have no questions. I'm cool, not a problem. And not that I have a problem if somebody else starts at safety, but I'm not as confident in all of those guys where, obviously we saw a lot of Rex Guthrie last year, and there were a lot of problems on defense, but it seemed like he was a little slow to go on some of his run fits. Maybe he didn't get downhill as quickly as you'd like him to in those situations.
Is there a chance that they keep that? This is obviously, this is a dumb question because it involves all the positions, but especially at defensive back because of the issues that we saw on the back end, whether it's run fits or, some of the over-the-top plays there. Those first 3 non-conference games before you get to Big Ten play, like competition, we got to figure out who fits in what scheme. We got to figure out who fits in best situations and stuff throughout those first 3 games, and then we can feel more confident moving forward? Or do you think you can get confident in your first 3 weeks of fall camp before you even see a live action?
No, I think you're going to need the first 3 games of the season to really nail things down. I do think part of the Rob Orich defense, I do think we're going to see more guys than we did last year. That was one of the major differences that didn't get talked about quite as much is Butler didn't play that many guys. Tony White played a lot of guys his first 2 years, Rule's first 2 years here. Tony White played a lot of guys, and we kind of liked that about him. Butler, and I don't know if it was a confidence thing in the players, and clearly a lot of people didn't really have a good idea of what was going on the defense last year. So it was, hey, these guys are really lost out here, so we can't put them out there. Or if it was more of an NFL style of like, hey, we just don't rotate guys that much because we're only dealing with a 53-man roster instead of a 105-man roster. For whatever reason last year, we didn't see nearly as many guys on defense. So I do think we'll revert back a little bit more towards what we saw from Tony White and see a larger rotation, especially in the first few games of the season. So I do think we'll learn quite a bit from the secondary in those non-con games and get a sense of, hey, who do we like, who do we not like, who do we think is
and you're going to get tested in that first game. Ohio's got their offensive system will spread you out, and you're gonna have to communicate, which I think I know your answer to this, but you're not concerned about the talent at defensive back.
No.
So your concern is communication?
Just getting the right guys in the positions that they can be successful.
Okay. Because in a 4-2-5, there's a lot of passing. There's a lot of guys. You got to know if you've got trips on one side, like who's carrying you over, where you fit in terms of route running and all that other stuff.
A lot of it for me is making sure, which, again, the simplification of the Rob Orich defense versus Butler last year, I think is important here. It seemed like almost no one knew what they were supposed to be doing at any point last year.
Yes.
Like, I don't want to over-exaggerate.
It did feel solo ball for 11 players out there at different times.
Yes, and it felt like if you were not in the perfect play call, they were going to gash you, right? It felt like you were basically like playing roulette and hoping that you landed on the right number and just saying like, all right, we got it right this time. And we're sort of trying to do like a prediction algorithm with the offense to get the right play call in. I think that's going to fix a lot of things, but the communication on the back end is going to be really important, and their confidence that the guys in front of them are doing their job so that they can make decisions faster is really important. I think that was the biggest issue last year was the defensive linemen were hesitant, so they weren't able to do their jobs effectively. That filtered down to the linebackers and to the safeties. And that's not to say that the linebackers or safeties played well, but there were some trickle-down effects from the defensive line that caused some issues for them also that made their jobs a lot harder. Can the defensive line make the jobs easier for the second and third levels? And can those guys all be on the same page to get to where they need to be on any given play? Those are my 2 biggest concerns. I like a lot of the guys on all 3 levels of the defense. I famously really liked the defensive line last year, and they were terrible, even though I do think the talent in that room was good.
I agree. No, I had this thought this morning too, because we heard so much from Owen Chambliss, and we've heard a little bit more about the linebackers and everything. We are kind of forgetting about how anticipated we were for the production value of Vincent Shavers at this time last year.
Yeah, and we've sort of talked over him a lot.
I hate to say we've forgotten, but it feels like we have almost forgotten about how a lot of people felt Vincent Shavers would take that next step last season at this time.
And if you want to talk about spots with competition, like obviously, Chambliss is the only one that I'm like for sure is going to start.
Yes.
Right? Because you also brought in Dexter Foster, who's a transfer linebacker. I don't think Will Hawthorne's ready, but they'd like him, but I don't think he's ready.
Jace Reynolds is injured right now. So, and again, true freshman coming from Class B to Division I, a little bit different.
We've talked about Pierce Mooberry's name came up unprompted with Chambliss, I believe, last week. We really liked Dawson Merritt at times last year if he can be healthy. I think Derek Wacker's name came up unprompted once again last week as well. And I've heard Christian Jones has made some strides.
I was going to say there was a West Side linebacker I was waiting to hear from.
Which I don't think he had a great first year in the program or first fall in the program. I think he's come a long way since then. So like that's really encouraging as well. Obviously, he was a very highly touted guy coming out of high school. So listen, in a perfect world, I hope it is Vincent Shavers. I think he's got the most experience. If he can get confident in this defense, I think physically he brings a ton to the table. But there's lots of options if he's not in a place where he feels good about this. But that kind of goes to my other part about getting guys in positions to be successful. Him or like Willis McGahee is a good example of that. I mean,
geez,
a talented guy.
A year ago, right? Like everybody was pounding tables, being like, "Oh, he's going to be the pass rusher that everybody needs and everybody wants," and all that other stuff.
But like, was he a linebacker? Was he an end? Was he a stand-up end? He's listed, I believe, now as an edge rusher, full time.
A guy who came back to the program as well.
Yeah, who everybody thought was gone last year.
Shopped his options. You know, they put him in the same category as Princewell. That's what they did, and they were just like, "Oh, it's another guy." Ultra talented, misused by Nebraska, couldn't figure it out. And truthfully, you know what? It could have been just as simple as Rule just saying, test your options. Maybe you didn't like what happened last year. I got a new guy this year.
Yeah.
And we've got a system that maybe fits you a little bit better.
And we've got a guy coaching edge rushers specifically in Roy Manning and stuff like that.
I think that's one thing that we don't talk about enough, that there was such a concern, and I had huge concerns last year for Nebraska's pass rush because there was just not enough times that they did enough to get to the quarterback to even affect plays. Like not even bringing him down for sacks or hurries or any of that. They just didn't do enough to get in quarterbacks, disruption. Having just a true pass rush or an edge rusher coach may help clean that up quite a bit.
A lot. The other guy that I think about in that situation of getting guys in the right spot, and then we can take a quick break here, is Donovan Jones. That's a guy that has looked really good at times, has struggled at times, and I think a lot of it is him being in the right positions to be successful. I thought in the past he really struggled in space. Like if he was a boundary corner, just like him, his man, the sideline, I thought he did really, really well. When they kind of put him out in space, because I do think they want him to be the nickelback. Yeah. But that puts him in space in a way that I don't know if he's comfortable or not.
I think they played him at safety a couple of times too, didn't they?
Yeah, and I don't think that was the best fit for him. And so when he got on the field early, it was kind of at that boundary corner spot. So I wonder, has he in Orch's new defense, does he kind of understand his assignments more when he's in space? Is he seeing things better? That's, I think, a big question because Donovan Jones is a guy that we've seen play quite a bit.
Yep.
And
it got better, I thought, too.
Yes, and has been successful, as a young guy in the program. Is he going to be able to play in a place, whether it's nickel, whether it's corner, wherever, where he feels comfortable, is able to be confident in what he's supposed to do, and is the best guy at that spot? He's going to be fascinating, and if they can get him to play well in if they can get him to play well in whatever spot they find him in, I do think that helps out quite a bit because he's a guy that's, again, has produced at this level early on in his career.
And remember that first, was it the Cincinnati game that was, I'm almost 90% positive it was a Cincinnati game that we watched, and I was like, oh my God, I think Donovan Jones might be the best tackler on the team. And then we got halfway into Big Ten play, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if Donovan Jones is able to wrap up anybody just in space, like you were saying. But I thought that he, again, progressively got better and better. And even though the defense wasn't up to its complete standard by the end of the year, I still thought Donovan Jones overall, for his first complete season of college football, I felt pretty confident about where he could go from there. And you're right, if it's just about finding the right position, if it's about putting him into the right, spot necessarily, or just getting him into his most comfortable or best fit, I think he is a player that can make a difference. And especially, too, you talk about those guys that either are first to second year, just starters, or guys that had comparable playing time and you're expecting to make that big leap, or guys that weren't playing at all to where they are this upcoming year, there's a couple of options out there that would be interesting to pick your brain about like who you think might have the biggest impact between that leap.
Yeah, well, let's take a quick break here. We can talk about that on the other side of the break. That's Austin. I'm Ravi. It's Herd Out Sports Live. We'll be right back.
How would you describe Jeep Wade in his coaching style and how he gets the best out of his players?
He's been great ever since I've known him. The recruiting process, everything's been great. His style is very unique to himself, and ever since I've been here in the spring and even throughout the summer being coached by him, he allowed us to do what we need to do to get the job done. And obviously he teaches everything that we need to get better at, but allowing us to be free, allowing us to be consistent in what we do is what he's looking forward to the most, rather than having to overcomplicate things. He keeps it simple and allowed us to play the game that we like to play and do the best that we need to do in order to get the wins. And that's one thing that's been very unique. The coaches just wanted their way or no way, but obviously he gives us the grace to experience things that help us be better as a player, and then being out there and competing the best of our ability. So that's something that's been very unique to him, and I enjoy that.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about peptides. You are doing it right. At Next Gen Male Medical Clinic, peptide treatments are clinician guided, tailored to your goals, monitored for safety. Call today or visit nextgenmmc.com.
You're listening to Herd at Sports Live.
I think the running backs, I think running backs a little different in that, you're looking for, hey, he can do this and he can do that, and you're trying to play two or three guys. So I think it's right now for these guys not about fighting each other, but proving what they can do at a high level so that Dana can take it and run with it. And I have so much faith in I'm sorry, Steve. I have so much faith in EJ that EJ will have the backs right.
Welcome back, Herd at Sports Live. That's Austin. I'm Ravi here at Herd at Sports HQ. I also have faith in EJ that he'll get the backs right.
I think it's fine. I think they'll be good.
I'm not worried about the running backs even a little bit. Like, not even a little bit.
Yeah.
But you had a question for me.
Yeah. Are you a fan of Monte Ellis?
I'm not a fan of Monte
That's
Ellis.
not the question you wanted, was it?
No, that's not.
That's what we were talking about through break.
No, Monte Ellis might be the biggest moron. Least self-aware person maybe I've ever seen.
He can run 30 miles an hour? Actually, it's 20. I shouldn't.
It started at 30. It started at 30. Came down to 20.
Listen. I texted Damon. And I asked how tall is where's his office at, and he didn't respond. I want to know how many stories up that thing can go in case of emergency.
That's true. At least he's got access to like an elite training staff now that can help him out when his knees explode.
Listen, he had an extra
that he won't use because he's elite.
I did give him a hard time about the food storage practices, and he goes, "You really think Kristen Coggin's gonna let me get away with that?" And I was like, "I mean, if you listen to her, man, I don't know."
Yeah, that is true.
Do you think he'll go in there and be like, "Hey, so I need you to leave this just on the counter for a couple of hours before I eat it. Like I can't. No, just don't refrigerate it. Don't put it under the heat lamps. Just leave it."
That will be really fun if they use like the player training room where they have their individualized, smoothies that have their names on it and stuff, and it's just Damon's and it's just meat that's been on the counter for a while. Like, no one else touched this. Not a person.
I'm just saying, if at some point we have like a food poisoning outbreak during, knock on wood, hope that doesn't happen during the season, I'm going to have a lot of questions for it to be like, DB, did you leave stuff out and people got into it?
He would be patient zero. Literally anytime sickness comes about, I will blame Damon. It'll be very easy. Very easy to do.
Like somebody left his shrimp pizza out and one of the players ate it.
Somebody left their shrimp pizza
Come
out.
on, DB.
I know we talked about it earlier too, but it's the first day of high school sports practices.
Oh,
for fall practice. So football, softball, volleyball. Now, if you had a week 0 game, you could have started last week. But yeah,
I was as Sauter said on Friday though. There's only a handful though. There's not many. There's just the one Class A, and I think he said 5 total.
Yes, I did appreciate you trying to be like, what if I go to an 8-man game and they were all many hours away?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not doing that. Like, I
gotta figure out where we're going.
Well, I said we've got to figure out our 8-man, 6-man little jaunt that
I'm gonna put in a sauna task in for myself. Figure out schedule.
What's going on with our 8-man game?
It'll be fun.
I'm excited. I definitely want to go. I do have a limit on how far I'm willing to travel.
What is that limit? 2 hours?
2 hours. And
so 2 hours total drive time,
no,
or 2 hours each way? Okay,
we can go 2 hours out, 2 hours back.
Yeah.
I may make you drive, but
that's fine.
We can take my car. It's fine.
No, we can take the Equi.
The Equi?
The Equi, yeah. I don't have a name for my car. I had one for my first car, but not this one.
I'm not a big naming my car guy. Like, I've never really done that.
That's the least surprising thing I've heard.
That I'm not a big naming my car guy?
Yeah. What's your car name? You have
well, we have 2. So our big red one, that's
big
Tank.
Red. Oh, okay. Fair.
No, that's Tank. And then our Explorer is Dora.
That's good. That's fair. That makes sense. Yeah, that adds up.
Yeah.
Why didn't
we had
you
a little
with the red one?
What?
Why didn't you go with Boots for the red one?
It's sometimes Boots, sometimes Tank.
Can't have 2 names. What if you named your kid twice? Huh? That would be bad. They wouldn't know who they were.
Nicknames.
Ooh, Hunter wants us to come to Howells for an 8-man game.
Howells is a very fun place. I've been there. Went there last year for some.
How far is Howells?
It's probably, I'm going to say it's like a little over 90 minutes.
Oh, that's okay then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just north of Columbus, or it's like generally in that area. So it might actually be shorter than that. Depends on.
I got $1.25 here.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
I'll take that. 90 minutes. Yeah.
That's definitely doable.
Yeah. And Howell's Dodge is going to be good this year, so that'll be fun. That'll be good.
I would like to see a quality match.
Yeah.
Or, a quality matchup.
That's the tough part, is that there's a chance that we pick these games and we're like, oh, we're just going for the environment and the experience, and then we just go to the ultimate blowouts. Like, okay, running clock. We're out of here early. It's fine. So I don't want that to happen. I want us to be in like a bloodbath. Like, that would be a lot of fun.
Hunter, if we decide Howells is the winner of our 8-man sweepstakes, we will let you know, and we expect you to come say hi to us.
We should open it up that way. We should have people pitch to us where we should go.
We should take nominations.
That's not a bad idea. I kind of like that.
Who will have the best tailgate food?
Yeah, so listen.
That's going to be a factor here.
There's a non-zero chance a place we go, a cow could be slaughtered that day and eaten by the people. Like, that's a high probability.
I don't
really
have
hope that
to slaughter
happens.
the cow, right?
No, you don't have to. No, I got to explain to our coworker the other day how mass beef processing works. He was
Ryan?
He was very shocked.
DB and I should have taken him to the meat processing plant.
Listen, we could go to Custer County. I could show you guys Jacobsen Cattle Incorporated. It'd be great.
I still don't.
It's 3.5 hours away, so it's a little far, but
I'm gonna be honest, I still don't understand why I was there.
Because he wanted a friend. That's all. I can tell you right now, there's not very many places that I would be like, oh, Ravi needs to come with me here. Like, I don't think that that's going to happen.
I think Damon took you there to make sure he left.
I thought we were like pitching a client or like a potential sponsor.
No, he was just there.
And he was just like,
I just wanted to learn. Boy wants to learn.
He did. He was just like, no, I was just curious about the process.
Hot, that's funny. Hot Danger, that's funny. My car is not named Dr. Automobile. I'm not Inspector Gadget. That is not the name of my car.
Yeah, it was, I'm still confused about why I was there.
Listen.
So it's like, oh, okay.
So if you had to rank all the places that Damon's you've been with him.
Oh, that's definitely the weirdest.
Right?
Without a doubt.
You don't think a romantic trip to Lauritsen Gardens in December was any different?
I forgot about that.
And we made this beautiful video of you guys like holding hands in the lights and all this stuff.
We weren't holding hands.
I don't know. I saw the thumbnail. You guys were real close. Like I edited part of that. That was a weird video.
We weren't holding hands.
Yeah, for two dudes very romantically invested in each other. Yeah, it's been a long weekend for each of you. I'm sure.
Just two dudes holding hands underneath the stars.
Can someone remake the SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs, like them reaching out for each other? That's Ravi and Damon. That's what they'll be doing between Lincoln and Omaha.
Amazing Daniel says he wasn't a big naming his car guy, but then his kid got a Rogue. His car is red, his wife is gold, so we went full Star Wars with Red Leader, Gold Leader, and Rogue One. There you go.
Rogue One. I like Rogue One. That's good.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
Big fan.
I did like Rogue One. The Andor. Did you watch Andor?
I saw the first season. I haven't watched the second one yet.
It's so good.
I know. I've heard
Second
it's
season
good.
incredible. I did have to rewatch the first one, the first season, because I forgot what happened. So it's worth it though.
I am in a very similar place with Star Wars that I am with Marvel, where so much of it was so bad for so long that my urgency to see the new things or the things that have come out recently is not high.
I tried to I don't know if you could tell, but I tried to soft launch to see if you wanted to go watch Spider-Man with me last week.
I do want to go see Spider-Man. I didn't know you were like soft launching.
I was, because I was like, well, you know, me and Katie are going on Monday at 3:30, and I didn't say if you wanted to go because I didn't want to be weird because you'd already seen one movie together, and I was like, I don't know if we want to.
Hey guys, can we go watch Spider-Man together?
I would definitely. I thought since
you're trying to use my free tickets, that's all you're trying to do.
Since you said Katie, I assumed I was not invited.
Okay, that's fair. No, that's fair.
But if you're just be like, hey, I'm going to see.
I know I need to be more direct, but I was also like, hey, didn't know if you were busy or not.
Hey, bud.
The worst part is inviting someone and then just being shut down right away. Like, no, I'm playing tennis. I don't got.
You didn't want to be Austin and Dr. Fiance's Dr. Child.
Maybe that could have been. Maybe that could have been one of our premarital counseling sessions. Was Spider-Man?
We need to do this.
Yeah, we actually.
That's the thing is like I tell Katie this all the time. I'm like, hey, we've got to figure this out. Like we need to set some time. And I was like, we have missed the gigantic window of time that was open for us, and now we have crunched it into the busiest season that we could possibly have.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
We'll figure it out. It's fine.
Spider-Man.
Shane, did you see Spider-Man yet?
I have not.
Are you going to?
Eventually, yes.
Okay, eventually.
I'm not. I'm kind of in the same boat as Ravi. I'm not overly excited to see something that comes out from one of those two.
Okay.
Although I've heard
R3, if you want to include DC into that, definitely.
Sure. Yeah, I've heard very good things about Spider-Man and have luckily avoided spoilers up to this point. So.
Oh wow, that's impressive actually.
I've gone out of my way to I see a Spider-Man thing, I scroll real fast. Whoa, get out of here. And anytime I hear somebody talk about it in the office, I'm like, ah.
My new favorite bit is actually people tweeting the full movie online. That's very funny to me. I love it when people do that. And they started doing it I think the Washington Commanders posted, they're like, oh, Spider-Man, brand new day, 4K full movie. And it's just 3 hours of Jaden Daniel highlights instead. It's like the opening Universal Earth and the trailer thing, and then they just have all these Jaden Daniel highlights after. I think we should do that with our show. Can we name tomorrow's show Spider-Man Brand New Day full movie?
I can do that.
To see how many people just swarm in.
Would Sasha get mad at me?
Yeah,
if we got sued, maybe.
Alan, you're right. We do have some football this weekend, some more preseason. We probably do need to squeeze Spider-Man in here pretty soon. I probably need to go. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow is Spider-Man Day.
Tomorrow's a good day. I'm on my own Camp Confidential this week.
Yeah, where are you going?
Okay, so hold on, let me pull up. I know. I'll pull up. Today I'm at Milford Volleyball, so I get to see Shayla and a couple of others.
There you go.
Tomorrow I'm at Creighton Prep football, Waverly football Wednesday, Lincoln Lutheran Volleyball Thursday, Millard North softball Friday.
State runner-up, baby.
I'll pop over, too, because they'll be practicing the same time that
Are you impressed that I remember that?
Will be. No.
Okay.
No.
Well, all right.
No, I'm not impressed.
We're a bat ball.
Win the
sports school.
championship.
We tried really hard.
You did.
Tried our best. Second's pretty good.
You'll be right in there.
Yeah, they'll be in the mix.
Probably one or two. Probably one or two.
They'll be in the mix.
One or two in A.
Yeah.
And then I just confirmed Saturday morning I'll be at Norris.
Oh, by the way,
Norris volleyball.
speaking of bat and ball sports, shout out to the Lincoln East Legion team.
That's right.
For
Carpet
making
Land.
that's right. I forgot what the sponsor was. For making the American Legion World Series for the third time in the last 4 years.
I remember when they went on that run all the way to, were they in the national title game?
I think they may have been.
I think they were too. If I remember right. Yeah, they were like all the way down there.
Yeah, they've done well for themselves the last few years. I mean, unfortunate for them that they couldn't win the Class A state title because they ran into a better squad in Millard North.
But why didn't Millard North win the Legion baseball title?
Well,
then?
their coach just left. There's a lot going on.
Oh, that's fair. Too much turmoil in the.
I would say
program.
turmoil. He moved on to a great opportunity to be a junior college coach.
So do you know what's really funny? One of my friends from college works for Iowa Lakes.
Oh, really?
Like the athletics. And he just got this job. So, and he does some stuff with, I think, like students and their academics and all that sort of stuff. And went up to Okoboji a couple weekends ago and I saw him. And it was right after the Millard North news and all that other stuff. So I went and I was like, hey, your new baseball coach. Like, I really like Bob. Like, he's a good dude. And he goes, our new baseball coach? And I was like, did I just break news to you? And he goes, I need to text somebody.
That's how I felt this weekend when Matt Rule was like, Damon Benning works for me now. And I was like, what the hell, man?
I got to text somebody.
It's like, thanks for the heads up.
That would have been, honestly, like, I'm glad it all went out the way that it did. I'm glad he told us. Would have been really funny, though, like 10 years from now, if Damon was just like, nah, I just never told him. Just literally didn't show up today.
I saw Damon in the line, and I don't think he knew that you had told, like me and Austin, that it was a possibility. Because I go, oh, what's up? How are you doing? And he goes, oh, you know why I'm here? And I go, no, I don't. Why are you here? He's like, what? Ravi did? Ravi told me.
It's so funny.
I should have just let him on a little bit.
You should be like, what
do you? You're just here for your son, right? Just here to support.
What do you mean? I was texting Damon over the weekend, and I was like, let's have a good moment. Have a good moment. And I tried so hard not to be like, I'm gonna miss saying yes, Queen to you, so many times because I almost hit him with that. I almost just responded to one of his texts, yes, Queen, and I was like, I can't do that.
Can I just say, and we can pour one out for that. One of my favorite bits. Every time,
so easy, so simple.
Every time you said yes, Queen, because I knew he was just like so exasperated by it, and it was my favorite.
He should have known it was coming. It was every time. I was just waiting for him to ask me to. Hey, Jimmy Neutron. Hey, Jimmy, are you there?
Yes, Queen. He would just like.
I thought one of the funnier tweets, I think it was from Corey, was when we had posted the announcement, and he said, well, no wonder he's leaving. You guys bullied him all week. Last week was kind of on an all-time heater, so it does look very bad that we basically bullied Damon out of the show.
I did say that I'm sorry that I made fun of you too much. You had to go take a job at the university.
Listen, I stand by the fact that he didn't want to do the listener draft so badly. I'm out.
Should we just rip the listener draft at some point? Should we just schedule it for this week?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get it done.
Let's do it tomorrow.
Okay.
We might need a little more prep than that. Let's. I think we should do the listener draft before the football season starts.
Who's all drafting? Who wants in? Shane, you have to be in.
Shane has to be in.
And you have to take Carol number 1 overall.
Shane's first overall pick.
I don't need any prep. I've got receipts.
Give me your big board right now, Shane. Who's your
No,
top 5
I'm-
big board?
I'm not
I just
giving
want
you
to know
my
your big board. I'm not
'cause
asking for your picks.
Yeah, but that would be my picks. You'll take it.
I just want to know the big board.
You'll steal them.
We should do a listener big board before we draft. Let's do.
That's a great idea.
Put out like mocks.
Should we all take pictures in front of our big board and act like it's not behind us?
These are great bit
Hey,
ideas.
Rico, do I have a list here? Yeah, I got a whole bunch of notes, don't I?
You got a whole bunch of notes?
Ask Wednesday.
A whole bunch.
A whole bunch.
What's your favorite pop, Shane?
I need Sierra Mist.
I heard a few giggles back there.
I really need somebody to be like Mel Kiper and just be like, Todd.
I think the best way to do this draft, I think, is not just like 1 through 5 or whatever. I think we have to do categories again, like we did 4th of July.
Oh,
So I think you need like
that's smart.
You should do
Trolls.
Trolls is good. I like trolls.
Ride or die.
That's a good one. Yeah, I like ride or
Smart
die.
ass.
Funniest.
Ooh, okay.
Or
Yeah.
comedic value. Called comedic value.
Yeah. Okay. Someone's writing this down, right?
Absolutely not.
Hey, Rico, write this down. Okay, so we got trolls.
If he would have snapped his fingers, that would have been too far. But he just pointed at you.
I would never.
So.
Trolls, ride or dies, comedic value,
Cursed pick.
cursed pick. I feel like we need one more. For a category.
Do you do like ball knowledge? Do you do like something like that?
Ball knowledge is a good one. Okay.
Yeah.
So ride or die. Ride or die, trolls, cursed pick, ball knowledge, comedic value.
There are some people that fit in multiple categories. Of
I
that
know,
too.
that's why it's
makes
fun.
it very interesting.
That's
I do
why
like
it's
this.
fun.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, I'm gonna open up chat and see what we got here.
Wyatt, no.
Nope. That's the first comment I open up. I'm like, nope.
No, it won't be.
Wyatt, there'd only be one person to pick in yours. I'm sorry. Don't know what to tell you.
That's not true. We have had occasionally Asian Joe pops in.
Oh, right. Asian Joe.
Now,
Thank God.
I don't know which particular part of the continent Joe is from as opposed to Wyatt, so you still could be correct that he's the only one there, but based on titles alone, he is not alone.
In spirit, we should, as a group, at the end of each round, draft Damon's. And then we could do like the little floating image of him with like
with Chubbs?
the alligator and Chubbs. Yeah. And be like Damon's draft.
I'm just gonna make him a little ghost.
Yeah. I think that'd be good.
Pour one out.
Steven, if you don't feel like you fit in a category, give us a suggestion. Let us know. We can do like 6 categories. I think that'd be fine. We can make this work. It'll be good.
Daniel says you should wait till the replacement's permanent before you draft. I don't want to have to transfer to Indiana a month later.
You should want to transfer to Indiana. What are you talking about?
Well, not if you win championships, right?
Yeah.
Well, so I have dissected that. I have thought about this. When that Purdue AD said it, did he mean
he meant basketball, right?
So did he mean that Indiana is done winning championships? Like they won championship, right? Is that what he meant? And that Purdue will now win championships in which they have not won any?
I believe that's what he meant. Like they have their one, and if you want to win championships in the future, you come here. You don't go there. I think that's what he meant.
I feel good about defending him, and I don't want to. But
Certainly not what he said.
Yeah, no, like I am trying to dissect a sentence that I'm trying to help him out, but
help me.
Literally what he said was go to the school if you don't want to win championships here, go to the school that just won one. Okay. Thanks, dude.
He's like, and famously come to the place where I work that does not win championships.
If you want really cool gear, you don't go to Oregon.
In anything. Like, what are we talking about here?
If you don't want to see mountains and nature, don't go to Oregon.
If you want to be near the beach, you don't go to Miami.
I don't know what he's doing.
That would be really fun.
Ooh,
being an AD of like a Big Ten program, like you're just Rutgers and you just try to stunt on everybody, but you fail miserably. That would be very funny.
Yeah, B2 Brandon says, brother, you're at Purdue.
Wouldn't that be great though? You're like the new AD at Rutgers, and you're just trying to go about, and you end up just complimenting everybody, just Like mean-spirited?
If you like trains, you come to Purdue.
Bang. What do you mean by that?
Boilermakers.
Oh, right. Yeah. Big train guys.
Engineers.
What do you mean?
Engineers.
What do you mean?
They're making them at night, the trains.
Thomas the Tank Engine?
I will say, okay, so we have had a couple suggestions here on a category. Maybe
Shane. Shane and Chet.
Maybe instead of ball knowledge is either know-it-all, or I would actually, in honor of one Stephen Young, maybe call it the well-actually category.
The well actually category is very fun.
That's pretty good.
I do like that. That's very fun.
So maybe well actually instead of ball knowledge, because ball knowledge could fit under there too.
I would have,
well.
I would have to make a board for each category. I think that would be the toughest
for
part.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm interested. Shane, can you just tell me who's your 1-1 on your board?
No,
I'm not taking him.
No,
I just want to know who you value the most.
No, Queen, I'm not gonna say.
End this fucking show. Show over with. Play the music, Shane.
Shane, you can hit the music, buddy.
I will do that, Ravi, and yes, Queen, I'll do that.
That's Austin. I'm Ravi. Shane, obviously alive and well.
What do they call it? A full circle?
You're like
bullshit.
Oh, how the turntables have turned. I have tasted my own medicine, and it is bitter. Rico here as well. Shout out to Brandon, who's going to be helping us out in the future.
I wonder what funny bits Brandon has for Austin. Oh, I wonder how he's going to make fun of Austin.
I won't do that.
Thanks, Brandon.
What do you mean? He got a little.
He does have
He's got a little. What do you mean? That's Austin. I'm Ravi. It's Herd Out Sports Live. We'll be back tomorrow.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.